It's allegedly live.
Yeah,
Yay.
live.
Allegedly. So about
Hello,
those crackheads.
everyone. Hello. Yeah. We were talking about crackheads behind, but we tried not to make it the first words that came out. It's like the seventh word that came out.
I'm just saying, there's a reason why they sacrifice their families for crack. There's got to be a secret behind it.
It's got to be really good, I would imagine, then, if you're doing all that.
Boy.
I said, man, they're go-getters.
Yeah, of all the other things that money could buy, there must be a reason you choose to spend it on crack. You could buy other kinds of crack with that money, but this is the kind of crack that everybody wants. So can't say I've ever tried it myself because I'm not. No, there was going to be a joke there that I can't say. So I'm not. No, it's great. Yeah, crackheads. If you want, go ahead. We don't endorse, obviously, but it's probably quite fun. Some people find it that way anyway. Hello, chat. We are back in an incredibly slow news week, which is why we're talking drugs. And yeah, there are topics to discuss. We have guests with us. We are already joined by Blue Collar Loser and Reaper. I think Capillo Opinions, he was here and he's disappeared, but he'll in theory be back at some point. We do not have a dark hour anymore. As we look to revamp the show, we've sort of decided to move in a slightly different direction. He's got his own show to manage. It's lots of time-sensitive stuff. So we thank him for the work that he did behind the scenes during the time that he's with us, and we're sure we will see him again in the very near future. But for now, it is just us, and we have some topics to discuss. And that rhymed because I'm just that good. So what's first on the agenda? Siddiq?
Oh, okay. I'll pull it up. I'm playing producer today, so here we go. First things first was Wicked passed $700 million globally, so it wasn't that billion dollar hit that everyone was predicting. But yeah, it made a huge profit though, because it was filmed on $150 million budget. It's pretty good, but it's no billion-dollar hit like everyone thought it was going to be. Are we the crowd that didn't see this movie? The four of us here,
probably.
Yeah, I think so.
I know. It's one of the films where everyone's recommending it, and I'm like, I don't want to kill 2.5 hours right now. But I mean, I'm sure,
Who's recommending you gay theater musicals?
Drinker.
Oh, never mind. Don't track that.
Oh God.
Was he glittering? Was he sparkling? Was he going, you got to see this?
He's just as drunk as I am, so.
Did his accent just disappear and he just went full gay?
Well, people did recommend
many opportunities to see this. Yeah, I've had so many opportunities to see this movie. I have skipped out on it every single time. I think it's still even playing. I live in the middle of fucking nowhere, and there's a tiny little theater now that I live near, and it's still playing this, and I refuse to go. I'll drive an hour to go see Wolfman in 4 days, but I will not go see this.
I'm on Pirate Bay right now. I can steal it, and I don't want to.
Drinker recommended it if you like this sort of thing, apparently, which is... So I don't like this sort of thing. So no, it's great. Just ignore it completely. Even until part 2. When part 2 is due out, is that this year now?
Yeah.
Is that like the end of this year? So like in theory, this movie will get a slight bump to its own box office as people go back and buy it on streaming and whatever. But no inclination. It's a musical. It's too gay for me. So pass.
Yeah, I was forced to see the actual play, which wasn't too shabby, but it also was the entire story in like 2.5 hours, as opposed to being split, and then I have to endure like 6 hours of this bullshit. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever see this movie, but it sure did make a lot of money, and good for them.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely musicals have a fan base, and they're a genre like anything else. Obviously, they found their fan base, and for what we, like Platoon said and Drinker said, I'm not the biggest musical fan, but I can see from what I've heard, this appeases to fans of musicals. So it did what it. Yeah,
freaks is what they are. Look at these two aliens. Do you see them? These decrepit freaks.
I know. Did you see the thumbnail I made? That's fucking class,
She looks like a goblin. She looks like a goblin that's came out from the cave trying to take your gold. The one that looks like she's anorexic.
Yeah, she like the witch herself. I forget her name. She looks like a woke Lord of the Rings goblin or something with those claw hands. Yeah.
That female orc we saw in Rings of Power. That's just hair on the right.
Yeah, that resemblance is uncanny now you mention it.
Told
Yeah.
you, man.
And
She's-
Ariana Grande is basically Gollum in makeup. So
I mean, yeah, she looks so malnourished.
God, they're just.
Didn't her like boyfriend off herself years ago? Maybe that really did her in.
I'm not surprised. Wouldn't you? I'm just saying. You wake up and you see that, you go, ugh! He probably thought he was running up. He probably thought fucking Mordor was attacking and jumped out the window.
This slow news week, everybody.
I got
That's
nothing.
right. Slow
got
news
nothing.
week. God. Well, did anyone see this movie? Since we didn't see the
that's
last
exactly
one.
what the box office has confirmed. Nobody saw this movie.
I saw this hilarious tweet, and it really summed up America's non-obsession with Robbie Williams. What part of "we don't know who the fuck he is" are y'all not getting?
Yeah, I mean, I saw Jeremy Johns give it a good review, but like, I'm curious to hear Platoon and Reaper because, like you said, Cynic, I don't know a single person in my life who's ever heard of this guy.
Yeah, dude. The only reason I know about Robbie Williams is those late night commercials that I saw in the 90s selling his greatest hits to us. And it's like the only way, like that and Girls Gone Wild were like the commercials at night past 1 a.m.
And
that's
the greatest
only
hits
reason I know
just
Robbie
weren't
Williams.
that great either, which is probably why he hasn't broken into America. I barely know who he is because he's before my time, but I think he comes from that. There's that era of British like boy band 90s crap, which got wildly popular over here. Like, and you had like boy bands with they sound like gay porn websites, like Boyzone, for example, which just sounds like you can understand why that didn't really track outside of the United Kingdom and why it tracked to this country at all. I don't know. Robbie Williams is probably just the most famous part of that. He was with, is it Take That he was with? I think. Even that's testing my memory of these people.
I think so. I think he left. And it's gay that I know that, bro. He was a part of Take That.
It is a little bit.
Jeez.
And then he had like a solo career, and I think lots of middle-aged women liked him, but they have no taste. I mean, they see Wicked, so that's again something about how popular he is. And yes, somebody decided that they would spend like millions, tens of millions, buying the rights to distribute this biopic in America of a singer that Americans have never ever heard of before. But without him being played by a human, instead he's played by a gorilla. Why is he played by a gorilla? Because Weta had already been doing gorilla mocap stuff for Planet of the Apes, and so they basically just slapped the same skin on this main character. And they thought, fuck it, that'll do. The music will carry the production. I can't attest to whether that's true because I haven't seen it, but I hate Robbie Williams, so I'm going to assume the answer is no.
Oh, man. Capital O Opinions, welcome, sir.
Oh, hello. My internet really
Hello,
shit
yeah.
the bed for a few
No,
minutes
it's all
there,
good.
but it's working now. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for
no
coming.
worries, man. So Paramount acquired the feature, this movie for North American distribution for $25 million. So they will not be seeing a profit. I don't even think it made $1 million over the weekend, because here it says it made $580,000 on its opening day, and I think it made like $850,000 total over the entire weekend. So,
but it's testament to how far removed Robbie Williams is from any kind of pop culture relevance. I don't think it's even made $1 million in the UK, or if it has, it's only just cracked it. So the country, the only country in the world in which he's definitely or used to definitely be popular, and we don't give a fuck. So why should anybody else?
That's a good question.
Yep. But apparently it's really good. All I've heard is great things about this movie.
Wow, I'm looking.
He should have called himself. Sorry, I was going to say he should have called himself Harambe, because his careers went the same way.
According to
The
Newsweek,
box office would have been higher.
it said the production budget for this film was $110 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
All kinds of people are going to be losing money.
wow, that's crazy.
That is the kind of thing that does make you go, oh, that I mean, there must be money laundering. Because like, how do you make that decision? How do you make that gamble? 100 and something million on this? It's insane.
because
what
so
rationale
many
goes behind this?
because so many musical biopics have been hits lately, I think, but I cannot fathom any of those movies cost the amount this one did. And like, were they trying to subvert expectations where they're like, it's a really serious biopic, but we're gonna have a CGI monkey as the lead? Isn't that clever?
Yeah, so apparently, I guess globally, we factor in UK and America. Globally, it's at 7 million. So with all countries, so 7 million off $110 million budget.
Good Lord. Like I said, a lot of people losing money this time around.
This is Paramount, isn't it? Who produced? Isn't Paramount the one that gave Michelle Yeoh like 12 million just to show up in a shitty Star Trek show? I mean, they're not very clever with money.
Can't really.
No, they like to piss it away.
That's the Section 31 thing that's coming up this month, isn't it? That Star Trek production, which I know very little about, except that it's pissing lots of people off before it's even out, which is always a good sign. I think I saw somebody compare it to The Acolyte, which is a doubly good sign. And I can't wait to check it out for maybe 5 minutes before I discover something more important to do.
Jeez.
Yeah, Rocket Man budget was $40 million. I cannot imagine the budget for the Bob Dylan biopic was very much, but Robbie Williams, out of all people, gets a $110 million budget, and someone's like, that's a good call. I'm going to pay $25 million just to distribute that.
Like, I'm just had to look up. I'm not sure if you guys how you felt about the Bohemian Rhapsody movie with
That's okay.
I mean, but even that's they're still arguably a bigger, well-named band, and their budget was $50 million for that movie, and it still made $900 million worldwide. So,
yes,
well, the budget must have gone into the
care about Queen.
Yeah, Queen is worldwide recognized, isn't it? Unlike Robbie Williams. So I did see a little quote from him a couple of days ago.
Did they ask anyone, hey, have you even heard of Robbie Williams? If they did, they might have decided to save that $25 million.
But that was my question about how they make this calculation, how they decide to spend this money. Because I saw this quote from him, I think it was 2 days ago. He must know that this is completely bummed as well, because the quote was something like, oh, people always talk about cracking America, but nobody ever talks about cracking Japan. Why not? Well, okay, that's your bet now. It's when it comes out in the Asian market, this will do well. Okay, good luck to you, Robbie Williams.
Banger.
They must know. Like, how do you? Like the figure mentioned for Bohemian Rhapsody, that's Queen, which everyone's heard of.
Exactly.
How do you double the budget on fucking this guy? Jesus.
Oh, this movie's going to be huge in Andorra. You just wait.
Crack the Andorran market.
Do you think they accidentally thought it was a biopic for Robin Williams?
Oh, that could be.
That would be pretty funny. Yeah.
It says Rock. Yeah.
Possibly, it could happen. I mean, Brian Cox accidentally went on that James Bond show because he thought it was the actual film.
Yeah. Do people not look into things very much in Hollywood? Because how many times I feel like I've heard over the past year that people in a Sony Marvel movie thought they were part of the MCU or something. Like their agent didn't tell them, like, hey, this is not connected to that. Like, no one in the know was around them.
They'd have to watch these things to know that stuff, and I'm not sure they do.
Yeah, well,
I mean, other people within Marvel aren't even watching the other movies, so
that's true. Yep, you can tell that in the writing when no movie connects to any fucking movie at all at this point. But yeah, Robbie Williams never cracked America musically, so how the fuck did they think it was worth $25 million to buy the rights?
Some idiotic creative probably thought, well, okay, no one's ever heard of him, so what we'll do the chimp thing, and we'll make people care about the chimp, and then via the chimp, they will learn to love and adore Robbie Williams like everyone did in England in the 1990s. That has not worked. Probably could have told them that wouldn't have worked, but here we are.
Yeah, but the problem is he's a chimp with Robbie Williams's life. So instantly you think he's a cocksucker. Well, there's something about this monkey I fucking hate, and I don't know what it is.
I put it down
Oh,
to it being musical because like I hate all people anyone who turns up in a musical, human or otherwise. I just hate them. As soon as you start singing rather than talking like a normal person, I hate you. So I assumed from seeing like the trailer for this that it was just the fact that he was dancing and singing like an insufferable theater kid that made it annoying. But there could be an extra chimp element to it.
yeah, probably.
It's a pretty ugly
And
design as well.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
really
just
is.
that it's an ape. It's ugly. I don't like looking at it.
Well,
It's also
better
like
than
at
Robbie
first
Williams.
glance, if you only get one shot, like one look at this thing, I thought it was like an action movie or something. I had no idea it was going to be a musical biopic. I was just like, oh, CGI monkey. It's probably an action, just full on hero movie, but it's not. It's a fucking biopic of an artist that no one gives a shit about.
Yeah, that's why the whole 110. Like I'm looking at Kingdom of Planet of the Apes last year, $160 million budget, but when you watch that film, you can see the set designs and the action sequences and all the mocaps for the chimps. Like in the that's you can at least warrant a 160, but yeah, 110 million for what? For a biopic? Like
There's a good comment in chat as well to sum up, or very neatly, how long it has been since Robbie Williams has been relevant. There is a comment that says, I bought a Robbie Williams album on tape from HMV in the late 90s, just before cassette tapes died off. So when Robbie Williams was popular, we had cassette tapes and HMV existed.
Yeah.
Neither of those things do anymore, I don't think. So good shout, Paramount.
Oh, God. Well, next up on the topic of conversation was Gladiator 2 somehow making some money. It's crossed $450 million globally, but it had a $250 million budget. So it's definitely not profitable yet. Because that's not even including marketing costs.
Yeah, or the cut that the theater gets. That's a flop.
yeah.
Yeah, it has to, I would assume like $100 million probably in marketing. So like a $700 million break-even point. So it's $250 million away from that.
Isn't he working on number 3 already?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
he
what's
is.
really surprising about that.
It. Let's
What the fuck's the story?
It's
Gladiator
Gladiator
Part 1 again.
Yeah, it's the same again,
worse
but
again.
there might be a single scene that's like substantively different. I think we talked about this last time. So it is the same movie. The only difference is that the main character is still alive at the end of this one, which means part 3 will have to answer the profound existential question of what Rome is. Is it good or is it bad? And that'll be a 3-hour movie.
Maybe the evil leaders can be triplets this time instead of twins.
Yeah, they need to. Or they
Yeah.
might just carry on going doubles there. We might get 4 of them.
Ooh.
And then
It's
if they
spreading
decide to do a 4th, it can be 8.
exponentially.
And just exponential spread of gladiators and emperors.
So by the 10th movie, he has to fight like 3,000 of them. Just
It's
stabbing
just
like
it's an entire legion of gladiators will be the 10th movie. And then I assume it will get made, this part 3. He said he wants to make it. I think that the idea for the script is, well, obviously the script's already done because it's the same as the last 2. But I assume that like production will be in conversation already about this. So it would have to really spectacularly bomb as a part 2 not to get that movie. And this is not a success, but I don't think it's a massively spectacular. It's not a Robbie Williams bomb, is what I'm saying.
No, it's certainly not that, but it really does make me question where'd the money go? How did this cost $250 million to make? You don't have any, like your lead actor isn't even a big name. I don't even know who the fuck he is. I still don't. I've seen the movie. I watched the credits. I don't remember. So is this just the standard now? $250 million for any blockbuster that comes out in the fall or the summer now? Seems to be the case.
Yeah, because I mean, even digital effects shots, you have a CGI rhino. That scene is maybe a minute or 2. The CGI shark scene is maybe 2 or 3 minutes at best. There's no big, huge. The production value. If you had a whole 2 hours of constant CGI, you at least could understand that. But where's it going? Like you said, there's no Denzel is 70, not requiring a $30-40 million payday anymore. I mean.
It's funny because if you listen to the interviews and things they did behind the scenes, which I unfortunately had to do while doing that video, that they talk a lot about how Ridley Scott knows exactly what he's doing, and by knows exactly what he's doing, he's incredibly lazy these days. So they booked out the set for the big epic opening fight in Numidia at the beginning, and they were supposed to be there for about 3 weeks, and I think they got out in 7 days because Ridley Scott just stuck thousands of cameras all over the place and like didn't bother retaking any of the shots that he actually filmed. So you would think they might be able to save some money on Ridley Scott just being too old to care at this point, but apparently not.
Yeah, and the whole thing is just like they film it like Splatoon and then just fix it in post. Fix it in post. That's all they do.
Yeah.
They just film random shit and just we'll just fix it later. So that doesn't require a $250 million budget. Like
it doesn't, and because is it Fred Hatchinger, I think, who plays one of the younger twins? He's the gay younger brother in the I've already forgotten which film it is, which is this Craven. That's the one.
Craven, yes.
Understandably forgot what Craven was.
I knew.
So he plays one of the emperors in this movie, and he said one of the interviews that really we don't really do any takes, so like you only get one go, and then he's like that's good enough. But another example of how the laziness has infected the filmmaking as well is that there's an interview for Gladiator 2 where they're talking about Russell Crowe's big, most famous speech in Gladiator 1. And Russell wasn't actually sure that should go in because he thought it would come across as too sort of macho cliche comic book type line. And he wanted it trimmed. But Ridley Scott said, no, just trust me. We've written it. We know this will work. Speak the lines. Trust me. Kind of the same thing happened, but in reverse on this film when Paul Mescal, I think, is the main character in this, who plays basically the same character as the first one. But he also had a moment in this movie where he was supposed to give a massive epic speech, and he told Ridley, I don't think this is going to work. It's going to sound too macho, cliche, and comic book. And Ridley Scott said, yeah, fair enough. And so he condensed this speech down to the words, survive. And that was it.
Fucking hell.
Jesus.
Did you know that brevity is the soul of wit?
I'm curious to you guys. Are you shocked that the fact they did 450 though? I'm still shocked they did that much, considering the first one only did 465, and that was 20 years ago. It's not Gladiator had a big cult following of $1 billion franchise. Like 450 for what this is still, I think, high.
Well, what would be the inflation at this point from 2000 when that one came out? So like if this came out at the same time, it would probably be a $250 million movie or 300 or something like that. So definitely like a huge downgrade. Yeah, I mean, the original didn't cost $250 million.
I was assuming this movie was going to do like the fact it did almost $500 million for how bad it is and how much people were tearing it apart, and I'm shocked you just did that much.
Yeah, it's fair that it made Uncharted money. That 450 is like when I think of that number, I think of the Uncharted movie, that piece of shit, and that somehow crossed that barrier.
Since Ridley Scott keeps going back and destroying all his work, does anyone think we should just, put him down?
I basically did argue for that. Yeah, after Napoleon would be a good shout. I kind of did argue for that at the end of my video on it. Basically, this guy is just not actually. We should just actually euthanize him at this point. I was a bit more polite than that, but it was very much.
I'm serious. Put him down. Send him to the farm where all the other dogs go. They're not in the farm, they're dead, by the way. Any kids listening, your parents lied to you. And Ridley Scott should go with them because he's destroying everything he's ever touched.
He is. I'm trying to think if there's anything left that he's done that is. I mean, he isn't attached to any more Blade Runner projects, so that there is that. I don't think the Kingdom of Heaven, but then it was never particularly amazing to begin with. But he hasn't gone back and touched that yet, so there's still time.
Black Hawk Down, maybe.
Oh yeah. Black Hawk Down 2. Black Hawk Downed harder.
Downer.
You could tell him we're filming a sequel and actually put him in Ukraine. And just say there's cameras everywhere, it's hidden, and he gets shot. There you go, solve 2 problems. Ukraine gets an extra soldier. We get to see Ridley Scott not ruin more movies.
Ridley Scott actually in the old days might even have taken you up on that and made a really good movie out of it. Because if you go back to the first Gladiator, the way they got all the practical effects in the opening forest fight, I think he actually went location scouting for somewhere that was supposed to be a controlled burn. So like they were already going to demolish large parts of this forest, and he basically said, well, we want to be there when you do it, and also we want to do it with catapults. And they said, yep, that sounds good to us. So you were literally allowed to like throw massive lumps of fiery rock about the set. And it looks incredible and amazing for that reason, because he put the time and the effort in and was willing to go and do the dirty work. Whereas now it's just, we'll do it in post. It'll be green screen. that'll be fine. Out in 7 days from the soundstage. I don't want to have to stand up for too long because I'm 8 years old.
Yeah.
Well, they used to be more badass back in the day. Like Peter Jackson said when he was filming the final battle outside Blackgate, "Oh yeah, this is a minefield. Try not to walk outside this area or you'll die." Or James Cameron, when he's making Terminator 2, the guy actually flew a helicopter underneath the bridge, and everyone's going, "We're not going to film it." And James Cameron went, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself," and filmed it.
Boy.
For those that are curious, inflation adjusted, the original Gladiator had a budget of 183 million, and it made, of course, inflation adjusted 824 100 million or whatever. You know what I'm saying? 824 million. So yes, this did about half as good, and cost more. So.
Yeah, half as good on twice the budget, almost twice the budget anyway.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that the thinking behind it, if there was thinking behind it, but I suspect part of the reason it is one of these sort of soulless, almost soft reboot type movies is that it has been so long since the first movie, and we have so little faith in audiences that we have effectively to reboot softly any franchise we're coming back to. So but it does have, it's the Force Awakens phenomenon. You have to do the same film but slightly bigger in order that the audience remembers why they liked the first one, in order to justify theoretically doing something new and a bit more imaginative next time. That approach works once or twice, and I think people have probably had enough of it. The Force Awakens was a really good expose of that sort of soulless mentality. I think you can do that once or twice and get away with it, but only so many times.
Yep. There are certain trends that are ready to die, and it feels like superhero movies are on the chopping block over the next 5 years after we get this nostalgia period over with that they're trying to put into place, and these fucking soft reboots are going to go to the wayside too, I think. And it speaks, like you were saying, it speaks a lot to the audience, because I think we discussed the last BSUP, we brought it up about Netflix instituting requirements into their scripts, because most people don't even watch what they're watching. They just listen to it. So you have to have characters actually speak out loud what they're doing in this really contrived way. That's it just speaks to where audiences are right now, or general audiences anyway.
And the really depressing thing is I don't actually know that we'll notice very much difference, because so many bad writers do this already that when Netflix starts doing it across the board, it'll just be the same again. Oh God. But I think it came up in the context of Squid Game, I think, didn't it, when we were talking about that? The fact that Squid Game season 1 didn't have to do that because it would engross you in the tension of the scene that it's built, and it made you invest in characters. So even second monitoring it on a rewatch, I found myself going back and putting it on the main monitor again because it was that good. That's how you are supposed to do things. You're supposed to work hard and get the payoff, which is the audience's undivided attention. Or, you can just assume that they're going to be on their phones the whole time.
You could make it good if it went like broke the fourth wall, and you go, here I am sitting here voicing a shitty voiceover for retards who aren't watching it. You go, none of you are listening, are you? Fuck you. You go on a big rant. Because you might as well, if you have to describe the shit to people, they're not watching it and they're not listening.
Or if every new show they make could be narrated by a disinterested Harrison Ford, kind of like the theatrical Blade Runner.
Just let me die. For the love of God, just let me die.
Then some shit happens, and I don't care. I'm only in this for the money, and I guess that character's doing this thing now. Okay. Yeah.
What's his name?
That's really spot
on. Let's see. Next up was Nosferatu. Yeah, this movie crossed $135 million globally. It's Egger's biggest movie of his career so far. Film had a budget under $50 million.
See, movies stand a chance of making money when you don't spend $1 billion on them. If
Imagine that.
I know, it's crazy. The less you spend on it, the better chance it'll be successful. Wow, who could have guessed?
That doesn't surprise me, because Nosferatu has a very certain audience. It doesn't have a wide appeal for most people.
And it certainly didn't. Its cinema score was a B-, which is just absolute dog shit. It might as well be an F if it's a B-. So
I never really, but that's engaged with what cinema scores are. Like, What does that mean? If it has a B minus?
So CinemaScore is taken at on opening day, and so you're getting the crowds that actually wanted to come see the movie. So I always look at CinemaScore with interest because
is it like exit polls?
Yeah, they're like exit polls, and because of the people they're polling, I find them interesting because they're generally more forgiving. So you have to look at it at like grading it on a scale. If it's an A or an A plus, that's pretty good. If you're getting to an A minus, it's actually more like a B minus, and so on and so forth. So if you come out with a B minus, it's like it's death for a movie. So it's really odd that this one is it's still doing really well, despite the fact that the general audience that was excited to see it didn't like it. And that's like Eggers through and through, though. They really, audiences don't respond well to his movies. They're like for cinephiles, it seems.
Well, they're definitely more niche. Like I wouldn't recommend them to my parents. It's just
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's why this probably got a B minus, is because like it looks more mass appealing, and then it's still just a Robert Eggers movie in the end, which is like some, usually heady, beautiful looking shots, and for cinephiles and not for general audiences. Yes, I did.
What'd you think of it?
I really liked it. I thought it was great. I saw it with an audience that didn't like it too.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they were laughing at the movie, and I was getting fucking annoyed. No, I swear to God, it was like sheeple. Like there was a group of, I thought it was like teenagers that were trying to ironically engage with the movie, and then the rest of the theater almost like caught on. And I excused myself for a minute, and I caught a couple people that were also exiting at the same time, and I asked them, I was like, "Is there a lot of laughter in this? Am I missing the point?" And they're like, "No, it seems very, very excessive." So I had a really bad experience seeing it, but all in all, I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I feel like
sorry, go ahead.
No, so Reaper, like Platoon said on last BSUP, that number one, coming out on Christmas Day, that's kind of hard for families to bring their kids to go see Nosferatu, and for like horror fans, it doesn't have the appeal of like nonstop horror, nonstop action, blood splatters. It's a very, very slow burn, and like Cynic would said, for cinephiles and people that want a slow burn, old school vampire 1940s black and white vibe, if it's that tone, but for a huge audience appeal, it's not going to appeal to most broader audiences.
So I've not had a chance to catch this yet, but I know a few people who have seen it, and the people who do like it seem to be the sort of it's a movie for cinephiles kind of thing. So people at Midnight's Edge who really love the original seemed to really like it for its technical qualities and achievements. Not having seen it, I can't really judge. I mean, is that a fair assessment? Like you will like it if you are really, really big into the classic?
It's a very strong aesthetic experience. It's very well crafted and very well executed in terms of its own, visual style and what it's going for. I am one of the few people that really dislikes this movie. I really, really enjoyed his 3 previous films, and this one was a huge disappointment for me. But I'm actually very much in the minority in that perspective.
Why was it though? What was it about it that was so disappointing? I
don't think it's a well-written movie, essentially. I think it's very sloppy. I think it's thematically confused. I think, it's, like I said, it's a strong aesthetic experience, but the writing and the character work is actually pretty sloppy if you really dig down into it. I feel like I've noticed a lot of people like Mahler and people along those lines, there's a lot of them out there. They're like, I thought it was neat. There was some cool, horror stuff in it. There were some shots that looked really great, but it didn't really connect with me. And I think a big part of that is that the character work and what it actually has to say is kind of hollow, I would say.
Yeah, it is a little shallow. The character,
well, I hated
Lily
Ellen,
Rose Depp's
the
character.
Lily Rose Depp character. I think she sucks. Found her quite insufferable.
So it's kind of like a Dune type movie in the sense that everyone really appreciates the general look of the thing, and so that you can tell that it's being made by highly competent people. But then when you try to find something to attach to on the character level or even the plot level, particularly, then it sort of falls short. Is that true of the original? Because I'm genuinely not that familiar with any of the Nosferatu films. I mean, are its faults just the fact that it's remaking something that was similarly flawed, or is it introducing new faults that the original
it does
didn't have?
introduce new things. It is significantly different in ways that matter from the 1922 movie, and a lot of that just comes from, you know, the 22 movie is a silent film. There's not a lot of dialogue, and so it has to add quite a bit more. And some of the things it adds don't really work. Some of the things it adds don't gel with what it keeps from the original. I think people come away from this movie like looking at it in different ways, but I feel like a lot of people aren't assessing every aspect of it at once, because I feel like if you look at all the pieces together, it's kind of a mess. It's hard to get any more specific without spoiling it, and I do think you should check it out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm definitely in the minority there.
Her performance is also really confusing because I think her character sucks, but her performance is a lot of fun. I really actually enjoyed her performance while disliking her character.
I'd agree.
I think a lot of people found her performance unintentionally funny. I think that's where a lot of the laughs come from.
That's probably where it's from.
Yeah, because this movie is like Nosferatu and Dracula, but also with a dash of like exorcism movie thrown in. So there's a lot of possession scenes with her where she's doing her best, like a girl from The Exorcist. And so some of the faces she makes can be quite unintentionally funny if you're not already super engaged with what's happening. So I think a lot of people are like, that looks really silly and stupid what she's doing there. But
yeah. I mean, I put one of those silly ass faces as the thumbnail of my review of it. So
yeah,
like her eyes rolling back in her head and her giant forehead, and she's like her tongue sticking out. Like it's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
But all the performances are a bit over the top. They're like a bit camp. So I don't know. Depending on your perspective, you might like it, or maybe
prepare for a lot of Count Orlok Halloween costumes this year. Count Orlok.
Yeah.
You'd think a lot of girls would like this since it's basically their dream. Oh, look, a psychopath wants to murder my husband for me.
It's true.
That is how it feeds into their narcissism. Oh, look, this person's willing to kill a city for me. How romantic.
And kids.
And children, yeah. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Oh, look, he stabbed a baby to death for me because I'm so fucking precious. Because I am God's gift. That even a fucking vampire
does it count
me.
though? If you look like Count Orlok, don't you also have to be like reasonably attractive in order for the female pro serial killer mentality to come in? So it's fine.
Well, that's
the
suspension of disbelief in this. Yeah, because
that is kind of the funny thing about this movie in particular. Because a lot of Dracula the book, and a lot of the ones that adapt it a bit more faithfully. There's a part in the book where he becomes younger again. And so there's that element. In this movie in particular, he just, like the original 22 movie, he just stays kind of ugly and hideous the whole time. So
yeah, but she weighs her like beauty on body count. Oh, look, 500 people died for me because I'm that great.
Well, here's the thing.
You get to see like a 500-year-old prosthetic Dracula dick flopping around.
Maybe he's hung. Maybe it's like a baby's arm.
Well, you see it in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's flopping around.
Oh, God. I didn't need to see Dracula's dick.
Yeah, and he's like a dead body. So his like dead, decaying dick is just like, whoop, there it is.
It's just
so wait, she blew a decaying sausage.
Well,
is it like a flute? Is it like a flute? Because it's decaying, it's got holes in it. So does she play it like an instrument?
It's like a balloon that you have to inflate, right? Because it's not, if there's no blood circulation, it's not going to work. So you have to, put some air through it or something.
Yeah, they just stick to biting because they don't want to deal with that part.
Because there's loads of rats around the city. Maybe she's accidentally the Pied Piper.
Well, it's funny because but there is an aspect of the movie that treats her as super uber special for no real discernible reason, and I find that quite frustrating.
It's her forehead.
I mean,
Yeah,
it is remarkable.
Forehead. He just picks her. He just picked her one.
Oh yeah,
No
he claims he was living in like an eternity of darkness until she came along, and I'm like, fucking why? There's nothing special about her. I mean, there's hardly anything special about her. So it has that aspect to it. The sort of like,
yes, there is capital O opinions. She'll fuck him. That's very special.
she'll fuck a corpse. I
She'll
guess that
fuck a
is
corpse, and that's
unusual.
That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing for someone who's dead. Get laid.
You know what? Fair enough. Maybe the movie's actually great.
How did he even find it? Did he put like an advert out looking for woman will fuck corpse?
It's psychic.
She calls out to him psychically, and he
But
says,
I want to fuck a bunch of bones. And he's like, here I am.
The truly updated one would be a Tinder profile, wouldn't it? And then have something like you cut like ideal match cannot like mind the age difference or something. And
Necrophilia.
Yeah.
Interests.
Must be in for some strange stuff.
I'm sure you guys heard though. He does have one hell of a mustache. My God.
Yeah, the mustache is something.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's a mustache?
His comb
He's
over
dead.
too.
Because he grew up before he died.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Sometimes your hair keeps growing after you die. So
it makes when he's drinking blood just more disgusting. It's visual.
But if your hair keeps growing after you die, shouldn't he look like Chewbacca?
Well, it doesn't keep growing for hundreds of years, but it'll keep growing for a little bit.
Yeah, so he should look like his face should just look completely hairy.
Like the Wolf Man.
Yeah, like the wolf. Isn't that a shit film coming out?
I think
it
so.
sure is.
I'll see it Thursday.
I will say,
you gonna go watch it? Are you mad?
I'm gonna go see it.
I'm gonna see it.
I'm gonna go see it. There's nothing else to do where I live. I'm gonna.
Which movie is this? The Wolf Man.
The Wolf Man. Yeah.
What is this about, and why does it sound so terrible?
This is a remake of the Universal Monsters, The Wolf Man, by the guy who remade The Invisible Man and turned him into a domestic abuser.
Oh,
he's gonna have something to say.
Lee Winnell, who is one of the co-creators of Saw and Insidious and other not very well written movies.
So what's going to be Wolfman's crime? One was feminism.
I think
violence
I
against
think it's domestic abuse again. I think it's
I think it is.
The trailers kind of lean that way. It's just domestic abuse again.
So what is she going to call him a fairy? And he goes, "We are actually lycanthropes," and batters her. Is he going to like beat her for using wrong names?
Yeah, it's funny. It's on Twitter. His transformations on Twitter now, and they've released it. The 1 minute footage of him transforming to the Wolf Man, and it
looks like shit.
It's a transformation, all right.
I can't believe they released that. If it's gonna look that horrible, don't fucking.
Yeah.
Wait, where did they release that? I haven't seen this.
Yeah, it's on.
It looks awful.
Sitting can probably find it, but yeah, it's a 1 minute clip of him wolfing out, and it's just man,
wolfing out.
Yeah, I'm like, boy, you guys.
Is he like a Power Ranger? It's wolfing time. It's like fucking transform.
It's like 2001 CGI in this. I'm like, whoa, this is. Oh.
It's like when Rita Repulsa would make the monsters grow. It's kind of like that, and he just looks really bewildered. And
so, does he beat his wife?
Ridiculous.
Does he beat his girlfriend when he's a wolf or before he's a wolf?
It's
not the movie's not out yet. I'm afraid I can't answer that question.
Does he?
Yeah, but the trailer leans toward it's after he becomes a wolf, so it's after he starts drinking. You know what I mean? He just becomes a monster.
His drinking causes his wolfness.
It's boilerplate Stephen King kind of shit. That's
so he drinks a bunch of moonshine and becomes a wolf. It's basically and then hits his girlfriend.
I mean, don't we all?
The story.
The bonus is his wife is the new Silver Surfer, so that's just getting me excited to see it.
How violent is the domestic? Is he gonna like grill her face to the oven?
No, this is Blumhouse, so it's PG-13, baby.
Yeah, it's pussy shit.
I'm not gonna do anything fun.
PG-13 only smacks. You can smack your wife round for kids to see. And kids are going, "That's just like my dad."
Fuck. What else did we have on the list?
But just as a random thing, the original 1940s Wolfman is actually a pretty fun movie. You should check it out.
Oh, you're not
I
getting
googled the wrong one. I googled the Wolfman and I looked at it and I didn't look at the date and I thought, what? It's got Anthony Hopkins and Hugo Weaving in it. That actually sounds like it could be good. And it turns out
I remember that one.
That was the wrong Wolfman very much. That was 2010. This one is just Wolfman.
I remember that.
And I don't know anyone who's in it. So, hooray!
This girlfriend looks too young.
This made
I'm
me
just
mad.
going to say that.
I saw Moana too.
You did see it. Yeah, it's about to cross $1 billion.
Jesus. Does it deserve to?
No.
No, because apparently it's just a really like piece of shit compared to the original that everyone apparently loved. I didn't see that either, but
I mean, at least part one had some good songs for kids, and The Rock for one time wasn't being The Rock. He was actually trying, but versus this one,
that is pretty rare. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. He was actually trying to be not The Rock.
I don't believe you.
For voice acting.
In the live action, he's going to phone her in because he's playing himself again.
I know. Yeah,
the fucking guy ruined WrestleMania 41 too, because he has to do reshoots for this fucking movies, and now he can't participate in something that's actually entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, I knew this would do money because it's Disney, but that number is. But what's 989? Just call it $1 billion. What's 11 million more in digital sales? Like,
oh, it'll hit $1 billion for sure. Anyway,
so why Disney had a really?
Yeah, why did it suck? You actually saw it.
Well, because at least the first one, you could say that at least The Rock is carrying the film because he's The Rock at least. But this one, the character's in the film for like 15 minutes. It's all Moana, and she's not interesting at all. She has no character arc, and there's no stakes. It's just one set piece to another set piece. It's visually appealing. It is the water effects. I'll give them at least that much credit. Probably the most visually appealing film I've ever seen. But like that shouldn't be enough to warrant $1 billion. I could just see kids being bored out of their mind. I'm shocked that kids went to go see this film more than once. There's nothing going on. There's no comedy. It's just set pieces and long stretches of dialogue that make no sense. The villain is a tornado monster, and I
mean, there is that aspect of parents being able to take their kids to see something that is very safe and will keep them distracted for a good couple of hours. And when did this come out? Was this sort of Christmas time release, or was this slightly later than that? December? So parents looking around for, I desperately need to get my child to shut the fuck up, and I need it to be babysat by a big screen somewhere. What can I take it to see? Nosferatu? Probably not. So Moana 2, let's go see that. They liked the first one, so they'll sit through this one, I'm sure. And it's actually surprisingly easy to do, which makes it all the more hilarious that so many recent attempts to do it have failed because they've not been able to produce safe, sensible kids' entertainment.
Yeah, it's remarkable if it ever fails, because it's one of the steadiest, sturdiest things in the entertainment industry is that people want to see family films.
Yeah.
It's really not that complicated. Like, people have been crying doom and gloom about theaters are going to die, and then Inside Out 2 makes over $1 billion, and they're like, how could this happen? It's like, what do you mean, how could this happen?
They just
parents want to take their kids to movies, and that's like the stable thing that keeps the theaters alive. And so if a kid's movie fails, it's like, what did you do wrong? Jesus Christ.
Like Lightyear.
Well, Lightyear is a good example of that, definitely. But that's an element of, I think, probably the mix of the bad publicity that it got, and also the fact that, again, this is such an old franchise that I think a lot of kids these days are not particularly attached to Toy Story or anything about it, and parents might not be particularly interested in seeing it. But I was on George the Giant Slayer stream yesterday, and we had the head of Rasmussen, the polling company, on talking about Disney, and they've done some polling on attitudes toward Disney, which might perhaps explain, why Disney has struggled even in kids' entertainment in recent years. And they're quite revealing, probably more than I expected them to be. Something like, I think it was almost a third of people had said that they had not gone to see Disney movies because of the political climate around Disney in the last year, which is a huge amount. It translates to at least $500 million of lost profit just based on the political concerns, which, there were other things to talk about, and most normies don't particularly follow those stories, but they definitely had sufficient cut through that people were being put off. So now when something like Mario comes out, or in this case, Moana 2 comes out, which everybody knows is safe, lo and behold, you actually return to what should be your default position. Wildly successful, probably quite bland, but very colorful kids' movies. And it's that easy to do. And Disney voluntarily didn't do it for the best part of 5 years.
Yeah, Platoon, definitely right. Where I can't say that it's what you would call woke. It's not diverse enough to be woke. There's no, she's not even a girl boss. And technically speaking, Maui does need to defeat the bad guy because she can't do it on her own. So God forbid she needs a man's help. So it's a lot of things, but it's not woke. At least it's just very safe, pretty colors. I'm shocked that just pretty colors was enough for kids to keep going back and seeing this for $1 billion. But then again, the first CGI live action Lion King did $1 billion, which shocked me. But
yeah, and this will be a lot of diminishing returns if they do a third one. But I know they're doing the live action remake of the original, which is coming up next. That's what The Rock's filming right now, or doing reshoots for.
Yeah.
So I wonder how this movie's quality will impact that, because it opened to enormous numbers. This one did. Like $1 billion just makes sense because of how big the movie opened to, which was entirely off the goodwill of the first film.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't be entirely surprised if the live action remake didn't do as well, precisely because it's a live action remake and it can't be as visually stimulating as an animated thing can. This is the problem that I think some of the Lion King movies have had recently. Once you get over the initial buzz of the quote unquote live action Lion King remake, which is no such thing, but it's photorealistic. But photorealism is not going to be as bright and vibrant and almost fantastical as you can do with an animation. And so if that is the thing that prompts kids to go and see it, is the fact, much like Avatar, but for kids, it looks so visually striking. Anything that harms that aesthetic will probably harm its overall box office because it's just not as engaging to young people with brains made of much.
Absolutely, but it's even worse than that because photorealistic stuff can look really nice, and they chose to make it bland and ugly anyway. It's the most baffling choice you can imagine. I don't know if you've ever seen YMS's video on the 2019 Lion King, but there's a really funny part where he just shows pictures of African skies and they're really colorful, and he's like, "Why didn't you? What are you doing? Like, this is what it actually looks like. Why'd you make everything so gray and
make
flat?
It more photorealistic and it's actually more fantastical as opposed to." Yeah, to make it realistic, it has to be really flat and dull. Maybe they spent so long like just animating all the individual hairs on the lion, because that was a story that came out, I think, a couple of days ago. Something like Mufasa's lion had like 2 bajillion individual strands of animated hair. Fantastic. You know what you could have done, which is way cheaper? Like just drawn it like you used to, because that's better. But
invest those resources into writing a real script instead of just making a shitty version of the original.
Also that.
No, it is, because it's been 6 years since the first Moana, and even like just recently watching that just to go into this one, because I had 2 young girls, my girlfriend's daughters, but like I can see like a lot of young girls like in the first Moana, and the animation style from part 1 to part 2, it's like there are certain shots in part 2 were almost live action, like the water sailing effects. I'm like, wow, I've not seen like TV shows, like live action TV shows, as detailed as some of these shots in Moana 2. So that had to be enough to get kids to keep going then.
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, just the families I knew who went, they were all disappointed in Moana too. Yeah, it goes right along.
Well, there's never enough parents. Well, there's never enough parents who wish they used a condom to take to the theaters. You know, take their little regrets and mistakes to the theaters. It's always going to make a lot of money.
Well, Mufasa made only. Mufasa's only like at half of what the 2019 movie made. So there's that.
Yeah, which is good. I think if it was also if it had been more like striking the animated, that drop would have been less. But you like to think that the story quality does even matter for kids. I think it should matter for kids because they will learn more from it. But they might not realize it because they're a bit too young to, but they will when they grow up, kind of thing. Then again, how many fucking what's the Minions movies? What are they even called? There's like 15,000 of those. That's the one. And then isn't this year, aren't we getting, is it Toy Story 6 and Ice Age 5 or something?
Right. I think you skipped 5, but yeah.
Okay, I've lost count. It ceased to be relevant after 2. So, and then another Ice Age as well. So great.
Wow.
I would like it to be the case that both of those come out and it turns out they've kept the story quality up and that's why they keep making the movies, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I thought Platoon Despicable Me franchise was going down. I just Googled Despicable Me 4, 960 did last year. Almost $1 billion for Despicable Me 4. I'm looking at
God damn, stop making these fucking movies.
I mean, wow. I mean, I knew it did.
Making money.
I know it did money, but it did $960 for Despicable Me 4, and it was a shitty movie.
Those little yellow bastards sure do make money.
They really do. I just,
Yeah.
God, it's depressing.
So fucking annoying. I was forced to watch that Minions spin-off movie in the theater, and I just wanted to fucking murder myself.
I just never understand like kids appeal like for films. Like if you bring kids to see Despicable Me, okay, but then like why to say DC Super Pets that bombed, or like say Puss in Boots for us was a really good film, but didn't really set the world on fire. Why does certain franchise with kids blow up and other ones are kind of like say like Wild Robot and Transformers 1 technically bombed, and Transformers is still a bigger IP than Moana and Despicable Me, but it bombed. Like you think more kids, boys and girls, want to see Transformers?
Well,
people did
really young kids, don't it? Despicable Me. Well, Transformers is like 8 to 12.
and very
And their parents haven't beat them correctly to learn the good things. Like they pick up like a gay little doll and you go, no, you slap them. You give them a Transformer. There was Minions, the two retarded, the brain still hasn't kicked in. So they're just seeing all the flashy colours.
Yeah.
That's great parenting advice, actually. A little shot collar, and then set your kid through Toys R Us. And if it goes into the wrong aisle toward the shit product toys, zap it, and it comes back, and then you send it towards something that's good.
No, you buy them the toy, and then you make them watch it as you set fire to it.
The interesting thing about Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, is that it didn't set the world on fire at first, but it had legs. You know, it was like Top Gun Maverick. It was in theaters for a long time, and the word of mouth was incredible on it. Eventually, it made $481 million on a budget of like 90 to 100. That's pretty darn good.
Oh yeah, well, just like it just. But you figure that,
but it did take a while. It did take a while.
I'm saying, but that's off the Shrek franchise, which is still a new Shrek's coming out. But like when I see Despicable Me doing almost $1 billion, the Minion spinoff did like 1.5 billion. It's like it's 400 is still respectable, but in comparison, like why
Minions are like super stimuli for children. They just overload the brain circuits.
Yeah. It's so fucking wild. These are a couple movies that, well, varying quality, but the only two video game adaptations to cross 200 million at the domestic box office.
Well, who knew? You make characters look like the actual characters and people want to watch it. What a shock.
Saved Sonic, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Mario has the massive advantage of almost universal like familiarity with that character, and you didn't have to do, sadly, very much on the story level for that film to do well. But I mean, I'd say that's like more of an indictment on every other video game adaptation ever than it is a praise of either of these two movies. I've not seen the Sonic movie, so I can't really shit on that one too much. But if Mario is the bar you have to clear, of course it helps having a massively recognized franchise, but there are others like it which have either not been done or have been done but badly. It's not that difficult. Just have a good, fun time. Kids will go and see it. Parents will go and see it and remember playing the game, which was better, but the film is good enough. Yeah. And that's apparently all it takes. And yet we still get some truly, truly shockingly awful video game adaptations. And with more to come, I'm sure, this year.
Oh, yeah. This comment here. Any thoughts on the Legend of Zelda movie? That is going to be made. It is coming out.
Is that live action?
I believe it is, isn't it?
I don't think it is. Oh, if it is, that's a major mistake.
I thought it was.
Well, let's Google it.
Live action.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Don't do that.
Reassuring update by the director. No, it fucking isn't. You said live action. That is the least reassuring thing you could have done.
Wait, who's the director? Do we know?
Oh no, I'm sure he's done some really fucking awful things, and I can't remember who it is. Let me have a look.
That's a director. I mean, it's like West Ball. What the fuck is West Ball?
Well, this is a super helpful article I found. It says the Legend of Zelda movie currently has a release date set as 2020X. It has no specific date. It's fucking amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
This decade it will come out.
The West Ball, at least according to IMDb, it's the guy who did the Maze Runner movies, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes So, sure.
I think everyone knows that if they were smart, and they should be copying MCU for like their early MCU, where it's like you'd have Mario, now Zelda, then like Metroid and Castlevania,
And Donkey Kong or something,
and eventually all fight whatever Super Ganon or something like Thanos. And there should be like a 20 arc. Nintendo's got a 10,000 movie lineup you could build up into some kind of epic Avengers style. But
yeah, we need to build up to the Super Smash Brothers movie, man. That's what we need.
Come on, I mean the sales of the games prove themselves.
Oh yeah, it's been pointed out in chat that the writer attached to the Zelda movie has also written, get ready for it, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh boy.
Oh
It's
no.
gonna be shit.
Yeah, it's like someone said, Star Fox.
Certainly,
I want a Star Fox movie. Come on.
They're all so bad. And there's another one of those coming this year as well.
well, yeah, they're certainly not hiring based on their quality and the quality of their work. It's based on how much money the movies they wrote made.
What's the
Which
next
is
Jurassic
depressing.
World?
It's coming out. I think it's late this year because there's two movies that come out toward the end of the year that I know will piss me off. Avatar will ruin my Christmas. And I think Jurassic World, whatever the next one is, Jurassic World.
Well, at least the new Jurassic World has Scarlett Johansson's fine ass in it.
She's playing Black Widow, fighting dinosaurs.
Oh no, it's coming out in July. Oh no, it's going to ruin my summer instead.
How much is that worth, given how old she is now? I mean, I like Scarlett Johansson too, but I mean, is that really enough to?
Let's not bash the middle-aged ladies around here.
You acted like it was the selling point of the movie, and I'm like,
for me anyway, I'll go see it for that.
Yeah, but they probably put in a burger or something.
Jurassic World Afterbirth.
Even the premise thing in the wiki is it's already retarded. 3 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, the planet's environment has shown itself to be mainly inhospitable to dinosaurs. No fucking shit. It's been like 600 million years. Everyone knew that was going to be a problem, and the original films ignored it.
Yeah. Well, the first movie, it says that they're sick all the time.
Yeah.
And so there's the very strong implication that they're not super long for this world, all things considered. But still,
life finds a way.
So what was Dominion's plot? I didn't see Dominion. Wasn't that they took over the world?
It's
sort of
something about locusts,
grasshopper.
There are giant fire locusts at the end of it. So yeah, the Dominion is the one where they bring back all the original cast and all in one place.
Yep, Jeff Goldblum.
So like they're still, the evil people still want to find dinosaurs to use as weapons because fuck that plot line, but they're committed to it. There's a guy who owns he used to, it's Dodgson it's Dodgson from the original movie. You know, see, we got Dodgson here. See, nobody cares. He's the main evil guy in Dominion. He has like this evil facility set up in the mountains with lots of dinosaurs where they're doing research, and then they end up going there and like destroying everything and escaping to stop him being evil. And then there's a giant fire locust storm that sets fire to the forest, and the plans to get the laser guided raptors, which are unironically not something I've made up. They're in the movie. They are laser guided raptors. They are now gone, but the rest of the dinosaurs escape, and so we'll have dinosaurs all over the planet. Hooray for Jurassic World 4.
And then they just die in between.
Well, then they realize that we no longer live in the Cretaceous period, so they might have a bit of trouble. But yeah, it'll be fun to shit on. I don't think it's going to be very good.
So it's just fucking dinosaurs take over the world. Oh wait, no, they don't. Is basically the plot.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks like that. Yeah, there's a bunch of people on a top secret mission to obtain genetic material from the 3 largest creatures in the world's tropical biosphere. The genetic material contains the key to a drug that will miraculously save human lives. Which I think is a plot point they've stolen from the second Avatar movie. So they have these dinosaurs. They created these dinosaurs. How didn't they know that they had these things in them? Would they not have thought, hey, rather than laser-guided velociraptors, how about miracle cure for all diseases? That seems like a better thing to do with your plan.
They actually were going to use dinosaurs as weapons instead of, I don't know, a ballistic missile.
Yeah, there's a line in the first Jurassic World movie when he's talking about raptors, and he says, oh, can you imagine if we'd had a few of these things in Tora Bora? Which is just hilarious. You're sending velociraptors against the Taliban. It's just great.
Can you imagine having some of these? Yeah, it'd be a fucking nightmare.
I thought
raptors with laser beams on their heads.
I thought Dominion did money. I didn't realize it did over $1 billion.
Yeah, all three of the Jurassic World
I
movies
know it
made
did
over
some
$1
money,
billion.
That's what I'm making them for.
Yeah, the first one made $2 billion.
Which at least I can, because what Tuna said that they followed the Force Awakens trend. That's why I could at least understand it. I mean, it wasn't a good film, but wow.
Yep, it happened.
And the guy who bought you all the Jurassic World movies is doing the Zelda movie. Hooray!
In live action,
Minecraft movie, isn't it?
I can't believe they decided to go live action. They went live action despite the success of the Mario movie. It's really shocking.
Well, that makes me think that they have no plans to do any kind of shared universe material, because if you're going for that massively different creative style. Well, it could be. I still think, like, if you do them well, you can have really brilliant stories told across these massive shared universes. The problem is not that concept. The problem is the way it's been debased severally by the superhero companies these days. But there was scope for an entire Nintendo cinematic universe that builds up kind of to this crossover Smash Brothers style thing, which could have been fairly lighthearted, good fun. It looks like they're not going to do that. I wouldn't mind if instead of doing that, they were focused on creating a small number of really, really good adaptations. But I don't think we'll get that either, because if that's what they were doing, they wouldn't have hired the guy who did Jurassic World.
No, I agree.
More box office news. Mufasa passed 530 million globally, but it's, at this point only at half of what the original ended at. And again, another $200 million budget.
This movie made me glad that Scar killed Mufasa.
I've not seen it, but some of the decisions I've heard about making Mufasa the orphan and making Scar the actual rightful heir, that's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, and they made Scar an incel. They truly did turn him into an incel. That's his character arc.
And he's
a gay incel because he's, you watch the original. Come on.
Do you know what?
Yeah, I know.
Do you know his new name, Taka, means in Swahili?
Does it mean trash?
His parents called him trash. And they must know what names mean, because they bring up the fact that Mufasa means king. So they fucking knew that his name was trash and they called him it.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, in this movie, Scar is trying to get with the I can't remember her name at this point. She ends up with Mufasa. Yeah, Sarabi.
They had a thing from before. Great. I love all these additions to the original.
Yeah, they had a thing from before, and because in the cartoon, isn't it implied that he raped her or whatever, and then he was playing with Mufasa's corpse, like his skull or whatever. They get there by turning him into
this. Jesus.
That's
it's hardcore. What kind of cartoon was this?
It was in the 90s. It was called The Lion King.
Yeah,
not like the rape scene.
No, that's implied.
It's implied.
I was a bit young. Maybe I just didn't see it.
Well, think about it. Yeah, he gets his revenge on Mufasa, or his, or however he feels betrayed. I forget. And he's seen playing with a skull, and it's also implied that that's Mufasa's skull. He's just fucking around with his corpse. It's pretty brutal.
I never thought that. Jeez.
Yeah.
Which is great, because it proves you can do wildly successful kids movies which have really, really dark themes and serious story beats to them, and they are still very successful. They don't all have to be Moana 2 type empty vessels that are shiny, but that's easier to do, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's not really all that hard. You could just crib from Shakespeare. You could just do Hamlet with lions.
Yeah.
Or you could, I don't know, fuck it, King Lear in the jungle with parrots. I don't know, just fucking throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Oedipus, but with lions. That would be
I still have to ask, on a $200 million budget, so it's all CG and digital. They're not building sets. They're not doing mocap. It's just voice actors, and they're digitizing lions, but there's no, it's all sound stages.
Yeah.
Where's
CG
200?
Costs a lot of money.
It does.
So just
and
you're paying
there's an unnecessary amount of celebrity vocal, performances in this.
Yeah.
That you don't recognize or care about at all.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which
Seth Rogen voicing fucking Donkey Kong.
Well, it's like, where is it going? Because remember, like when the whole She-Hulk debacle and all the Disney ex-animators were saying they weren't paying us shit, and that's why we were all quitting for. And She-Hulk looks terrible, and like we're $200 million for animated lions. I don't.
Was it that they were being underpaid, or that they were just that they were overworked, which I'm sure they were.
I mean, according to them, I think you hear like they were underpaid and overworked. They're both.
They're probably in a sweatshop somewhere, getting beaten. They're a Chinese sweatshop. They're all about 12, and they go, "You CGI now." He's whipping them.
Those whiskers look like shit.
The other thing to consider when wondering these movies, why they have such massive budgets, and like if they had to reshoot anything, or if they were so incompetent that they like wouldn't make a decision and had to do things several different ways to see what worked, those kind of incompetence issues like absolutely balloon the budgets out of control. God only knows what the actual budget, not the reported one, but the actual budget of Captain America: Brave New World is at this point. If you have to reshoot the movie twice, it's like, Jesus Christ, guys.
Or 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, if you just stuck to the one script the whole time, it wouldn't cost like $300 million.
Yeah.
I think it's rumored that it's $500 million at this point that they've spent.
It would not surprise me.
It keeps changing.
How?
Well, when you film a movie 3 times and each one costs $200 million fucking dollars, I guess.
How would you film it?
Reshoots are so expensive. Reshoots are unbelievably expensive because think about it. If you have all these actors, you contract them originally for the original production, and then they go off to do other things, and often you need to pay way more to bring them back because they're in the middle of filming something else.
But $200 million? I can't even fathom the money.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I love all the speculative like Shakespeare, but with different animals in the chat. Those are funny.
The skull had horns on it. I liked it better that it was Mufasa.
Yeah, cynic, you got a fucked up mind.
It's coming from you.
You had me convinced.
I was Reaper, the voice of reason.
There's no rape. There's no nothing. It's a fun film. I didn't see any of that.
Just seeing shit. That's all.
Oh yeah, and like he fucking commits genocide. Yeah, the Lion King.
He's a great villain, man. He's fucking raping and murdering people. Amazing villain.
You just start watching Silence of the Lambs. You just get them confused.
Where did you find this, cynic? This can't be real.
I saw Nerdrotic post it.
Why?
Disney reveals cost of Willow to surge to $172.3 million. And it's not even on the fucking platform anymore. This is incredible.
Pretty funny.
It was so bad they took it off the platform and they spent this much on it. But hey, at least it wasn't 200 million, I guess.
All I remember from Willow was that to turn evil, you had to drink this weird cum from a monster. I'm being serious as well. Basically, there's an evil monster and you have to drink its life juice. It's not blood. It's this white liquid and you all have to drink from it. And that turns them evil. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Drink this cum and make you evil.
Yeah, drink evil cum. It was I'm not even joking. It was. I'll try and find a clip. It was fucking weird.
The chat knows right here. Yeah.
The worm cum. Yeah, that's it. It was a giant worm on the ground. You had to drink its white fluid.
And that's the kind of plot you get for $172 million.
Oh my God. It's not a lie. I'm glad I didn't watch the show. He's not joking. This is accurate. Oh my God.
He's not joking. We wish he was.
Oh, it is fucked. Yeah, the worm's milk, as they called it.
The worm's milk.
Oh my God.
But it's disgusting. It's a filthy fucking show. And I'm glad it's over. Warwick Davis should be beaten for that. But seriously, how'd you spend that much money? It was just fucking cheap. All the scenes in the dark you couldn't see, like Game of Thrones. I don't get why they keep doing that. They just go, let's film in utter blackness, and then blame the audience.
Like,
yeah,
I remember bitching about that in Rings of Power as well. Their scenes just all their dark scenes were literally fucking black. Like you just couldn't see shit.
And then he blame you. Your TV's not good enough.
Yeah.
Remember that?
What was that? Didn't Rings of Power? They did that fucking. They copied Game of Thrones with everyone fighting on outside the wall.
Yeah, it's one episode. It's really dark. You can see shit.
Episode 7, season 2, I believe.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, with Galadriel.
Galadriel, yep.
This money.
Well, besides that TV show, this banger, Emilia Perez won Best Motion Picture at the Golden Globes for musical or comedy, and it is a musical. I played it backstage, but allow me. Hang on a sec. Let me get this going for everybody. This is an excerpt from this musical. I don't know if anyone in the chat's seen it, so I'll be the first to show it to you. If you
Brace yourself.
Just as the précis. So the basic idea of this movie, if I'm correct, is that it's set in Mexico and some like cartel leader has a sex change, and it's a musical.
Why?
Yeah, you got it.
So he's seeking a sex change, and allow me. Here we go.
To woman, a woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina.
It looks so bad. I really want to watch it now, honestly.
I am kind of intrigued. It's apparently pissed off basically all of South America. They all hate it. It was nominated.
And the French did it.
The French did it, yes, exactly. But so the French had done a really big and apparently very lavish and quite good adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo. But they could only submit one of these to the Oscars, was it? Or whatever the most recent awards were. And they chose Emilia Perez instead of The Count of Monte Cristo for unaccountable reasons.
And because they knew it would clean up, and it did.
It somehow fucking did, yeah.
It's pretty funny because
penis to
even
vagina.
people like really far left people don't like this movie. They think it sucks and it gives everything they're advocating for a bad name. So it's really funny that it's awful all around. So it's like, why is it winning awards?
Zoe Saldana won best actress as well. It really did clean up at the Golden Globes.
You know, I'm just more upset and confused. Like musical or comedy, the film Challengers, I unfortunately saw it with Zendaya. Where's the musical comedy aspect for Challengers?
Oh, the Golden Globes are insane in this regard. They separate drama and then musical or comedy. Musical or comedy is basically just everything but drama.
Right.
I mean,
I don't know why, The Martian will end up in there. Famously, that was one of the first ones. People said, "What the fuck is this?"
I mean, maybe the fact that two guys be fighting over Zendaya, that's the comedy. Like, you know,
this is the catch-all box for everything other than drama. That's the way they do things. It makes no sense, but that's the Golden Globes for you.
But wasn't Zendaya so mid that she made the two guys gay?
Yeah, he's not wrong. Like,
I mean, maybe it's a genius film.
That's true.
Yeah, on Emilia Perez, I think even the BBC was prompted to do a roundup of like a bunch of tweets from prominent people in South America where this is supposed to be set, and they all hate it. They despise it with a passion. It's really funny to see. It's the kind of thing that could only win awards, and it did.
Exactly.
So does the cartel leader want to die? Because that's the only thing that's going to happen when you become a woman. You get your fucking head cut off.
I don't actually know much about the story besides the premise, so I couldn't tell you.
But I think he's trying to escape his life. Like, this is so he can actually try and escape his life or whatever, the life of a crime lord. That's all.
Also,
I
just
really
just
know.
to have it said, Anora is the best movie on this particular list, and more people should go see it because it's a good movie, and it's actually pretty damn funny. So it belongs in the comedy category.
Yeah, I heard that was pretty good actually. That is on my to watch list. But this one, that one that we were just playing, whatever the fuck it is, that is not on my to watch list. I don't believe.
Penis to vagina. I can't wait to see it. Honestly,
that's penis to vagina.
It's
Having heard
earworm.
that, classifying it as a musical is probably a bit of a stretch if that's the quality of the singing they've got. There's a character in it called La Vaginoplastia.
The French. Why are they like this? What can be done about them?
That is a question the English have been asking for many hundreds of years, and we've never answered it, and I don't think we ever will.
What is to be done about them? Forget understanding why they're like this. What are we to do about them?
the sword, and the fire is the only answer to them.
Well, besides that,
yeah, so I'm skipping through the plot, and I don't think I could summarize it. It's impossible.
Just to double back on that topic, someone suggested this movie's just a shitpost. It might be. Oh, it won awards somehow. What's probably not winning awards though is Skeleton Crew, which is a major flop for Disney Plus. It looks like. I just found this headline amusing because the Acolyte beating anything is a joke in and of itself.
Sure.
I will come back to that, but just very quickly on the last one. One of the many of the long list of complaints Mexicans had about it was that there weren't any Mexicans cast in it, despite it being set in Mexico. And the director's response was, "That's because there's a lack of Mexican talent."
Wow.
You know, that's a great response, actually. That's very funny.
You can't make that up.
Maybe the film's secretly based.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like DEI. Damn.
No, the smugness of the French kind of overrides any DEI stuff. Just kind of.
Fuck.
She said it was a skill issue. That's pretty funny.
It's a Mexican skill issue. Yeah. It's.
But yeah, did anyone watch this show?
Yes,
I have.
Skeleton Crew.
Unfortunately.
Does it deserve to be the flop it is?
No.
I agree with Platoon.
But I understand why it is.
Well,
I think
when you get
the
a bunch
Acolyte
of shit in a row.
Exactly, a bunch of shit in the row. The Acolyte has a bit of a Last Jedi effect in the sense that Last Jedi was largely responsible for Solo's very, very lackluster box office performance. So I suspect something similar is at play here. The Acolyte beat Skeleton Crew by this article's metric only insofar as everyone was talking about it, and everyone talking about it was 99% of people shitting on it and 1% of people saying it should be renewed because it's the best thing ever. That prompted at least a couple of its episodes to break into the top 10, where I don't think any Skeleton Crew episode has, even though they released the first two in one go, which is really just a ploy to break into Nielsen ratings. But all that said, on its own terms, there's nothing groundbreaking about Skeleton Crew. It is simply old-fashioned, unambitious, reasonably charming, fairly competent kind of storytelling. You don't have to see it, and that's its big problem. It would be the kind of thing that would do really well on the back of a really successful series of movies, because people would be all in for every kind of Star Wars story they can get their hands on. But that's not the case, and Skeleton Crew is not the kind of story that will get people very interested in where it's going, because it might not even go anywhere after season one. I think the performances are mostly at least competent. The writing is at least competent. It's got some nice little moments in it. It's probably the second best Disney Star Wars thing after Andor, which is really just an indictment of everything else.
Yeah,
it's going the way of Andor too. It's just
yeah, although at least Andor is getting a second season, and I'm not convinced this will. Yeah. But if it's used as an example of, okay, Watts and Ford together, they've done the successful Spider-Man movies, and they've done a Star Wars thing that not everyone hates, maybe they should be given a crack at doing a Star Wars movie instead of, say, Rian Johnson or Taika Waititi or fucking Patty Jenkins or all the other number of people attached to it. Then something good might come out of it as a kind of proof of concept, but that, again, is all remaining to be seen.
Maybe we can get the Jurassic World guy to do it.
No, no more.
What's interesting though is that this show, with a cast of kids, has acted with more maturity than The Acolyte, full of adults. Because The Acolyte basically told you to go fuck yourself. Well, these kids have said nothing, which is mad.
For everybody watching, and I know it was Platoon and Reaper, and all the critics, that this show feels like a very competent and good Saturday morning kids show. It does what it's supposed to do, but the target audience is kids. It's not offensive. It's not great, but like, it's a safe Saturday morning, 9 a.m. You know, have some cereal and toast and just watch it and just have a good time with it. But overall the brand is so damaged now. It doesn't matter if it's not even. It's passable. It's not great, but it's also not pissing you off like Acolyte and Last Jedi. But it's a very serviceable, like Platoon would say next to Andor. It's a serviceable Star Wars show, and it sucks. It's getting shit on, and it's getting more dumped on than it deserves.
I don't even know that it's getting dumped on. I mean, it would be probably better off if it were getting seriously dumped on. Its problem is that no one's talking about it and no one's interested. I got a fair few comments under my video basically saying people with kids saying, I sat down and watched this with my kids and they really enjoyed it, which I thought was a really good sign, because if you're going to start trying to rebuild anything from the ashes of Star Wars, that's the kind of response you want. But you do need more eyes on it. But I mean, it's kind of old news. These Disney Plus shows are not going to save Star Wars. Even Andor, which I think is really good in terms of quality, isn't going to save this franchise. You need a succession of good movies to do that. As good as your TV shows might be, and most of them are not, they won't do anything because you have to have a reason to bring people to subscribe in the first place. And Skeleton Crew sadly isn't it. But I think there's green shoots of a potential revival in it. It's just it needs a bigger audience, and it just won't get it.
Well, what's the next movie that comes out? Is it the Rey trilogy?
Supposedly.
No, I think it's The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is definitely coming out. Well, I say definitely. It's as definitely as a Disney announcement can be, but I think that's scheduled for 2026. The Rey movie was supposed to be, and it's now maybe not even happening. The Mando and Grogu is definitely a movie. It's definitely coming. It's almost definitely coming next year. And I don't imagine it doing very well.
Think it's going to be good, or do you think it's just going to be like the show but longer?
Like the show but longer, yep, and probably like the more recent seasons of that show, so the worst ones as well. If they've got any sense, they'll present it as a complete standalone, and they'll minimize the number of cameos from the show, and they'll divorce it as much as possible from the show's storyline, because so many people dropped out of Mando season 3 that continuing that's very difficult to do.
They won't. They'll double down on the cameos. They'll take every cameo they can, because this is Dave Filoni's wet dream.
Yes, it is.
He's going to
and
try
Dave
and make
Filoni's
this work.
involved in it as well. Yeah, like it's him and Favreau together. So you can guarantee us fucking Ahsoka Tano will be in there somewhere with their arms crossed and staring at something.
Definitely. No, because I mean, I was shocked that they're actually making Ahsoka season 2, which I'm like, I swore they canceled them plans, but they've already recast Ray Stevenson's character.
Yeah, it's the Hound is allegedly going to take over as that role, which will be funny because then all the videos I do will just be able to use him calling every single character a cunt, which will be great.
But we said before, it's like Dave Filoni is just going to keep giving himself his own show. He's going to go, whoa, my show is shit, but I'm in charge, so here I go, another season. The only other thing you've got different is the James Mangold one, which is 25,000 years in the past, the Dawn of the Jedi. And it's going to be lesbians. I guarantee it's going to be lesbians.
More lesbian space witches. Yay.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many YouTube debates and discussions like ours get made where is Star Wars, no matter what you do, is it even ever worth saving? Even if like you recast Luke, Han, and Leia and rebooted 7, 8, and 9, at this point, would that even save it anymore?
Absolutely not. I would say. I think that would piss people off more than anything.
It's the same way as Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Star Trek is a dead franchise at this point, isn't it? I mean, you've got Section 31 coming up, and I think the most well-received thing besides that has probably been the animated thing, the Lower Decks, which I've not seen a single episode of and don't intend to.
Everyone who says good's a liar.
Tame Rick and Morty, basically.
Worse.
Oh, shit.
And they go back and they made Bashir and Garrett gay, which they never were. It made two characters with friends gay, which is fucking annoying.
They really like doing that. That's one of their favorite things to do.
It's shippers. They always do these random ships that never were in the story, and they go, "Well, these two characters shared lunch, so obviously they must be in a relationship." Fucking pisses me off, shippers. I hope every one of them set on fire.
You should probably start baking that kind of thing into your contracts when you take up these new roles. If you're a male character, I do not want to share a single scene with another male character because I know how that's going to turn out in 10 years' time.
I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, somebody's lying here, Cynic, on this picture. There's no way.
Oh, yes. So, according to Box Office Theory, I suppose, Captain America Brave New World is projected to earn between $81 and $107 million during its domestic opening weekend, which I call absolute bullshit on. There's no way this movie is going to open to that amount of money, even with inflation. I don't care. There's been a lot of interesting tidbits about this movie. It apparently, its runtime's been revealed at 2 hours and 15 minutes,
Jesus Christ.
which that's not a good sign necessarily. The shorter, you're going to have like 9 minutes of credits, maybe 12, maybe 15, with the fact that they had to reshoot it 3 fucking times. So, and another interesting tidbit was there are 6 credited screenwriters for this thing. We all excited about this one?
Oh yeah.
Well, Falcon and Winter Soldier was one of the worst things I've ever seen. So it's in good hands. So I can't wait to see what a dumpster fire it is. It's kind of funny because they got a little bit of extra goodwill, even if it wasn't a good movie, but they did get some goodwill back with Deadpool and Wolverine, but none of that would transfer to this.
No.
Because this looks and feels and has nothing that people liked about it. About Deadpool and Wolverine, that is. So I expect this to absolutely tank. Nothing that's been reported about it in the press has been any good at all. There is no good news surrounding this.
I do not understand. I don't understand how they can project this kind of number. It's asinine, especially when the Marvels kind of had the same reputation before it was released, and that absolutely bombed off the face of the earth. And I expect the same for this. There
might be a slight difference in the fact that they can put the words Captain America in this one, and whereas with the Marvels, nobody knew who any of them were except the one who nobody likes. The only thing we knew about the rest of them is that they were all silly women, and that we've had a lot of that in superheroes recently, and it's probably not the most appealing thing for the core audience. So I could imagine just the words Captain America will be worth a few $1 million to this movie, but I don't know if it's going to be that
not
big.
Many though, because think about it. A lot of people have no idea really that like he's the new Captain America, and so they'll see the trailer during the Super Bowl or something, and be like, "Who the fuck is that? That's not Captain America."
When did this happen?
They have not watched the Disney Plus shows, so like, what?
Do you think they're hoping for the BLM February month? The Black Panther.
Oh, for sure. That's what they did with Black Panther, and that's what they're doing here. Like, this was very purposeful of like shifting it to a February release date once they reshot it for the second time.
Yes, definitely they're going for that, but this has nothing of that same appeal either. You know what I mean? This has none of the sort of like Pan-African wish fulfillment the Black Panther had. You know, this is just some guy that we go, oh, I guess that's Captain America now fighting a big CGI Red Hulk, and Harrison Ford doesn't look like he cares. So why should I care? No. I see this doing horribly.
And because forever, like the original one was a complete phenomenon, and it had, you know, a very loved actor in it who had quite recently died, and so like you had all of these other things going for that movie, as well as, you know, like the weird kind of Wakandan wish fulfillment that you mentioned. So that was attempting to be a kind of pop cultural moment in the same way the first one was. It didn't really succeed, but it did well enough. I think it earned like $800 million. This one, it's not got any of the same tragic backstory. None of the characters involved in it or the actors behind them are particularly well loved. It's obviously not going to be a particularly strong, definitive cultural moment for any particular group. And it's contingent upon events in a TV show that next to nobody actually watched. So that makes it a bit more like the Marvels than say Wakanda Forever was. Or even Multiverse of Madness, which I know did a lot of money, but then everything after it bombed because it was not a very good movie. But that, again, another movie which is coming off the back of a TV show that hardly anybody watched, but it was actually turns out to be critical to understanding where all of these characters have come from and why they have the roles they have. And we were once upon a time told that wouldn't be the case. We wouldn't have to subscribe to Disney Plus to understand the mainline films. And that disappeared after the first Disney Plus show came out. So great.
No Platoon was funny. Well, the first Black Panther, so it did 1.3 billion. But what's interesting is just in America alone was 700 million, and the rest of the world internationally was 649.
They don't give a they don't give a shit.
Just shows it like just the entire. So internationally, we still just in our one country did more than the rest of the world combined for one Black Panther film, and I wonder why that is for in 2018.
Well, I mean, the rest of the world doesn't care about the plight of America as much as America thinks they care. I think that's
Black Panther thinks it's a movie about Africa, but it's a movie about African Americans.
Yes,
or like it's a very niche, particular kind of wish fulfillment that
Well,
doesn't
and-
translate internationally.
And
It's
even
what-
people on YouTube would say that. In God forbid, 2018, if you were a YouTube critic and a critic in general, if you said a single bad thing about that film, boy, good
Yeah.
good luck to your channel, pal.
I kind of
Like,
missed
it's
it because I
funny-
wasn't on YouTube at the time, which was really disappointing. But I was on YouTube just about in time for the second one for Wakanda
Yeah.
Forever, and I still got called a racist because the argument I was making was basically what's just been said. It's an African American's idea of what Africa is, and actually, it's full of all these tropes that if a white person had been like directing and writing this movie, that would be called racist. You've literally turned an
Yep.
African nation into a bunch of loincloth wearing, spear chucking people who make monkey noises in combat. That's fucking racist, dude. But
Yeah.
pointing that out apparently was me being racist, when actually what I was saying is that Africa's a little bit more, realistic than that.
Yeah,
So was
it-
I. My video got taken down because I suggested that T'Challa might have died of AIDS. I mean, mysterious disease, Africa. I mean, what am I supposed to think?
Jesus Christ.
I mean, they called me racist. And then I dropped a lot of
fucking
M-bombs.
hell.
But, that's another story.
As you do.
Sounds about right.
Mm.
No, I said Platoon,
Yeah.
but had your channel exist in 2018, you would have said that. Boy, YouTube would have banned you.
Remember
Yeah.
the skyscrapers with thatched roofs?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Like mud huts on skyscrapers, yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
Fucking
And it's
stupid.
such a great, proud, and benevolent nation that as soon as it got an ounce of power, it shut itself off and allowed everyone around it to starve to death.
Yeah.
What a lovely group of people.
But
And then
yeah,
when they decide,
colonizer-
oh, maybe we're going to extend, some of our wealth and benevolence to the rest of the world, they don't go to Africa. They go to Oakland, California. It's very funny.
Yeah.
And the
It'll help
second film, he shuts it down. Doesn't help anyone.
What are the more pressing
To-
social problems to solve? Is it Zimbabwe or is it lower income areas in America? Yeah, let's just go there. That's definitely more pressing.
Isn't
God, it's so
the
cringe.
Their walls are like opened by a bongo drum.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
it-
they have like a water drum in the second one, don't they? That's how they open the magical like invisible
Oh,
shield thing they
yeah.
have, and they play the water drum, and then people get through. I don't fucking know why, but I think a button would have done the same thing.
don't think too much.
It's not exotic enough.
And it's also the second one is extremely racist. Like it perpetuates it further because
Yeah.
the stereotype is like black people can't swim, and like that seems to be their greatest
the right-
Their enemy was
Wakanda
like a
forever.
water
It ends up being right.
Yeah,
Which is
so
funny
fucking
because
ridiculous.
because it says they can't swim, and then they go, "Let's fight Namor at sea." Our weakness.
Yeah, he's coming back here, so instead of on land where we'd have the advantage, let's go out this fucking sea. Good call.
Yeah,
Where
what
he
a-
has the advantage.
It's another movie that seems to have gone absolutely nowhere because it seems to set up some massive, important geopolitical shift as the Wakandans ally with whoever the fuck the Aztecs are, and they're
Yeah.
gonna, be an alliance of the bad guys who think that they're good guys, and that should be very important because Wakanda is one of the single most important country in the entire history of the world,
Sure.
and we've not heard anything more about that. Much as Doctor Strange has been lost somewhere in the multiverse since 2019, Wakanda Forever is just not come back anytime soon either. And it all contributes to just generally not knowing what the state of anything is. Where is this story going? Is this even connected in any way at all? Will we ever find out? Well, not from the next Captain America movie, probably.
But still, people
No.
mention Wakanda Forever, yes, didn't do as much money, but again, it still did almost 900 million. And again, where do you think half that money, what country gave Wakanda Forever almost 500 million? So it still didn't bomb by any means, though, not as successful, but you can see why they're going to keep going with it. I mean, 900 million? That's
Wait,
Well,
so
this
they're bringing
is the
back
current rumor,
T'Challa?
though. Yeah, this is the current rumor that T'Challa is going to be recast. I wonder if that's like you were saying, Blue Collar, like the second movie did make money, but I don't think that her as Black Panther really won anyone over. And so I think they're
No.
going back to the well here, as they should have in the first place, and just recast him. It's not like he put on this unbelievable, untouchable performance where you're
Yeah.
replacing like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man or something.
Yeah.
He was in one fucking movie and had cameos in 3 others. He wasn't some ungodly figure.
yeah,
There
people
was certainly-
initially. Sorry.
Yeah, people didn't want to come. They didn't want to come across as disrespectful to him because he just died, and that was part of it. But the other problem they had is that all the other characters that lived in Black Panther 1 are women, so they couldn't find anyone to take to take the throne, or you know what I mean? That wasn't just one of the lame female characters in that first movie. And
which
so
is
now
unbelievable when you consider the way they elect their monarchs is by picking each other off waterfalls. Could he said no one could pick Shuri up and just chuck her off a cliff? Because that seems I could do that and it wouldn't be too difficult. Also, you said they didn't want to disrespect him. They did tweet from his Twitter account long after he'd died, publicizing the movie. So
that's fucking crazy.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, he came back from the dead to say, "Hey, by the way, this new movie's coming out soon. You should go. You should go watch it."
Himself, Chadwick, and family of friends of his even said that he had no problem because the guy obviously knew he was going to pass away. He did say that he would have no problem with the character being recast because he understands. And I see one word where he's like, I'm mortal, but T'Challa is forever. And yeah, how many Superman, Spider-Mans, Batmans have we had?
Right.
And Chadwick himself said, I have no problem with the character being recast. So if the guy gives his own fucking blessing, how are you disrespecting him?
I know they're concerned with the optics. They're not right to have that take on it, but that's certainly what they were thinking. And someone mentioned that the leader of the Hill tribe, whatever his name is, like the problem with that is that in the first movie, he's characterized as too much of just like a brute. You know what I mean?
M'Baku.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been a better choice, but kind of shot themselves in the foot on that one too.
Was he the one making monkey noises when he
sure
was?
Them? Yeah, he sure was.
And him versus Shuri, because he's like what 6'5", 290, and she's like 5'1".
So what's gonna happen with Shuri? Is it gonna be like Miles Morales? Like several fucking Black Panthers
yeeted off into the multiverse to do something else somewhere else, but or she might retire. Because didn't the actress say some like questionable things about vaccines? So I wouldn't be surprised if they were absolutely fine now with removing her from the A-list role, because you're not allowed to say questionable things if you're an actor, unless you're Mark Ruffalo. In which case,
that's funny. When she said this stuff after the film was filmed, so that they were fucked because they had it's already filmed. You can't remove her now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they justify it. It's the kind of thing I think you had to pick a lane and just stay in that lane from right at the beginning. Either you commit to recasting or someone inheriting the role that isn't Shuri, and you go with that. Or if you are going to say, no, it's in respect of this dead actor, we will retire that part of the role forever. It's very hard to make that announcement and say, look how virtuous and nice we are. And then a few years later say, well, we're losing money, so we're going to actually fuck the dead guy.
You've forgotten, haven't you? Just let us do this now.
A couple more slides here that I think might be interesting before we get to super chats. I see they've built up here. This is just more Cynthia Erivo news. She really wants to play Storm in the MCU, and I really don't want her to.
Isn't she?
We haven't uncovered how grand she is and all that inner turmoil that she has. That's her quote. Isn't she old? Oh yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
A mentally ill, bald Storm. Isn't that what everyone wanted?
She's currently 38 years old.
A goblin fucking Storm. Is that everyone wanted?
She does look Nosferatu as Storm.
Not to be too mean, but there's some goblin-ness to the way, especially with all the press store stuff for Wicked. I'm like, oh god. Like,
so yeah, Storm having a panic attack every 5 seconds. That's what I want.
Yeah, her eyes are white. You won't be able to see her.
Well, because she's had one successful film, and now in her mind, she's the biggest star on the planet. She can just do any role now.
Yeah,
listen,
I think
she's willing it into existence, and it's probably going to happen for her. So more power to her, I guess.
She needs to be thrown back in the fire from when she came.
Indeed, like no one's really given. Everyone's given too much of a pass to these two that starred in Wicked because they are fucking absolutely insufferably narcissistic and egotistical because of this one success.
You know, back in the day, actors were protected from the press by the studios, and I think we should bring that back. I think things would go a lot better for them if they weren't mouthing off about everything all the time. Because nothing made me want to watch Wicked less than seeing them on this press tour, like the way they talk about it. I'm like, oh god, I don't want to watch that movie.
Problem is, you can see them. You can see the pair of them are ill. mentally, physically,
Yeah,
emotionally.
the way they look physically makes it seem like they're mentally ill, and then you hear them talking, you're like, "Oh fuck yeah, you are! Holy shit!"
Holding hands and crying all the time. But I've spoken to like Robert Meyer Burnett about this kind of thing, and the press behind the camera will be involved in creating the lines of questioning, and they'll have these agreed topics. The press has no interest in protecting them. If anything, this is a combination of the studio, the actors, and the press themselves who've all agreed that for some inexplicable reason, this is very good publicity material. So please ask this question, and Julie waits silently while she cries for another half an hour and says something about how amazing she is, and this will sell tickets. I don't know where they made this calculation from, but it's the same thing with The Acolyte, with the guy who's sitting there smugly saying, "So I think this is the gayest Star Wars ever." And everyone says, "Oh, yeah, funny, it's the gayest Star Wars ever." I was like, but you had to agree that line. The studio probably vetted that line and said, "Yep, do it. That'll definitely get people to watch the thing."
That's chasing a very niche audience. I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
Like I mean, winning people over on Twitter, does that ever turn into box office numbers? Really? I'm not sure it does.
I think The Acolyte's very good disproof of that idea. The number of people saying renew The Acolyte, and statistically speaking, 3/4 of them didn't watch it to begin with. So viewers are the only thing that can redeem your thing, and those kinds of press junkets are not going to help. But yeah, it's quite remarkable, like arrogance and almost like narcissism to sit there and say, "Well, I was in a musical that did moderately well, so give me this role in your next biggest superhero franchise, please." Fuck off is my response, but I'm not Kevin Feige.
Yeah, but we all know what they had to do to get there. A lot of Jewish dick had to be sucked.
For fuck's sake.
We all know it's going on. I will not
Jesus,
be quiet about it. I'm
Cooler
just saying.
The anti-Semitic remarks.
Fine. A lot of other white dick has to be sucked. That makes it better. Multi-ethnic dick has to be sucked. Different colors and shades. There you go. It's better.
Yeah, a little more diverse. There you go.
Sex
there
for
was
favors.
one more. There was one more slide I wanted to get to, and it was Andy Muschietti. I always forget how to say his name. Andy Muschietti, the director of The Flash, has no clue why this movie bombed, apparently, based on what he said.
Sure.
He thinks that people just don't care about The Flash. He also went on to say that the movie didn't hit the 4 quadrants, which is basically trying to be as mass appealing as possible, as appealing to everyone. But yeah, he really doesn't understand why this movie didn't hit.
You just want to sit him down and be like, do you think it maybe had something to do with the fact that there were not 1 but 2 Ezra Millers in your movie? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
You hired an entire insane asylum as your leading man, and then you doubled him. It's your job to make people care about your characters. I'm pretty sure most people, Iron Man in the comics before the Iron Man movie probably didn't have 4 quadrant appeal, and yet the movie came out and was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Boy,
I mean, the CGI
it's almost like if
movie was horrific. Remember the babies? He's just flipping a baby in an oven.
Oh my
putting it in a microwave.
A microwave, yeah.
Yeah, that's good for newborn babies. Yeah.
And he doesn't know why no one liked his film. The fuck's wrong with him?
It couldn't have been because it was written like shit and looked like shit as a visual medium.
Back to the point about studios protecting actors from the press. They should probably do it for directors too, because I see this way too much.
Everyone in Hollywood needs to be protected.
Just shut up. Just stop talking.
People don't care about The Flash, yet Guardians of the Galaxy, who no one knew anything about, was a major hit in 2014 out of fucking nowhere. Right.
Well, plus the CW just had a show that lasted 8 seasons called The Flash. I mean, they were all great. Not every season was fantastic, but overall, the show still, The Flash is a very beloved character.
The CGI point did come up, and I just this is in the movie.
Oh God, no!
This is the quality we're dealing with.
Where's Nick Cage?
Why this movie didn't do well? Fucking hell!
The Lion King movie looks more realistic.
Michael Keaton is bait, and you couldn't get anyone to like it.
Yeah, he's the only watchable part of the film too.
Yeah, until he dies like a bitch.
And of course, it
Yeah,
comes in at the tail end of a dying DC franchise. The story isn't obviously going anywhere. Nobody knows like what the point even is in watching this movie. Combined with all the pre-publicity stuff about the many crimes of Ezra Miller and what's he doing this week, which was more interesting than the film itself. And then, you chuck in as many cameos as possible in one obviously tacked-on sequence, which you didn't have time to finish. The big battle is on a completely flat field with PS2 era like army soldiers running around in random directions. It looks awful. It's incomprehensible. The leader is insufferable. There's nothing appealing about the movie. And it's also terribly written, which I think he's perhaps overlooking.
They brought back
And
General Zod.
They even have Michael Keaton 9/11 Zod, and nothing happens.
Yes.
He just dies. Fucking stupid.
But it's because no one cares about the Flash. That's why. That's why.
Well, the problem is like they did a very shitty job of it because it's based on Flashpoint, and Flashpoint is such a beloved comic, and the Flashpoint cartoons are very well beloved, and they're just banking on that popularity, and shitty.
Flashpoint's also, to be fair, it's like the only Flash story that most people even know.
Yeah, which is why they chose it for.
That's why they chose it, and they completely botched it in every way.
Wasn't the film like 2.5 hours long?
Yes.
It was long.
I just don't understand why it flopped.
I just don't get it. It was...
you're on like, in a very, very sketchily written thing when you have an actual scene where Michael Keaton tries to explain the multiversal time dimension mechanics by using a bowl of spaghetti. Jesus.
Here's a pro tip.
It's just a big mess.
Even if you think that you like, oh my God, I can't believe this flopped, just don't say that out loud because everyone else knows why it flopped because they didn't go see it. So just you'll look stupid
will tell you.
Just don't.
How long you got, Andy?
Didn't James Gunn come out and say, "Oh, it's one of the best superhero films I've ever seen"? This is the kind of self-reporting, credibility-destroying comment. I understand why he
had just taken over. Yeah, he had just taken over DC Studios, so he had to say something.
Already lied. He starts his first day with lies.
But then he got the same cinematographer to shoot the Superman movie he's doing.
Is that why it looks like that?
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's why.
And
isn't similar?
Isn't Andy supposed to be directing the Batman Brave and the Bold movie as well?
Oh, God.
That's supposed to be this universe's Batman. That's not good, you guys.
Oh boy!
So you got two Batman.
When they originally announced that, the implication seemed to be that like, oh, he just got kind of shafted by the studio and didn't really get to do what he wanted to do. That's why I'm going to give him a Batman movie and the new thing. But he seems to have no idea why his thing didn't work. That's not a good sign.
No.
Didn't they also try to convince people that Tom Cruise had said that The Flash was great, but we never actually saw a video of him saying it? I don't believe he ever said that. I think they wrote
someone said that Tom Cruise had said that it was a brilliant film.
I don't believe that for a second.
They
say what you will about Tom Cruise. He actually knows a thing or two about good movies. He's been in a bunch of them. He actually probably has a better track record than most actors ever.
Yeah,
if you really think about it.
So he's one of those actors that's like not great at acting, in my opinion, but he picks really great movies to be in. So he's got a great career. I think his best acting performance was in it was directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, Magnolia. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah,
he's great in that.
That was really good.
I think he's good. He maybe doesn't have the range of some other people, but I think he's quite good.
That wraps it up for the topics. Shall we get to some super chats? Because we have a bunch we got to get to.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait to read this one. Hemorrhoid hurts for an ask $5. The thumbnail's glorious. Given I had a choice in either of these ghoul assaults, I would prefer Nosferatu to suck start me. Hideous creatures are my forte.
What is suck start? Is that like just like a revving engine where it goes brrr, it just doesn't start? It's the rever.
Probably sounds about right.
It's the way of getting up in the morning, in every sense of that term.
I just never heard that term.
I hadn't either, but I quite like it. I might use it.
Mr. Hemorrhoid Hurts again for another ass $2. Also, someone contact Echo live stream withdrawal. Is he not on too? Because we missed the last week. Is there a?
I think Echo Chamberlain is back streaming this week. I think I could be wrong.
James Busher for $2 with a little cowboy emoji. All right. Thanks, sir.
Howdy.
Yes, howdy. Alex for $2 as well, plugging Garland's Warfare trailer. Have you seen it? I have not. Have you guys?
No.
I don't even know what. No. Is this
Warfare?
Which Garland are we talking about?
2025.
Alex Garland, probably.
As in of Civil War, Alex Garland.
And
Yes.
also
Yeah,
A24 made it too. Oh boy.
Is this all of the story material that didn't make it into Civil War? Is that what we're doing now?
This is a movie that Alex Garland and another guy are co-directing. The other guy in the equation, this is a movie like he wrote, and it's about the war in Afghanistan or Iraq. I don't remember which one. But Alex Garland's name has also been slapped on it. I really don't know how much involvement he has in it, but
he's co-written it and co-directed it.
Okay. So it'll probably suck then.
Can't wait for the
made
big
anything
moral
good in
lesson about
years.
the war in Afghanistan will be something like conflict, isn't it bad? Yep. Thank you. Got that. Anything else to say? No? Okay, fair enough.
Actually, I think it's it's about a guy called Ray Mendoza, and he's the one who co-wrote it with and directed it with. So Alex Garland is basically the main director, and he's telling Ray Mendoza's story. So he's got him on as to help him tell it.
Okay. I'll check it
who
out.
Knows? Who knows?
Lance for $4.99 of real money. Thanks, Lance. To be fair, would anybody go and see even a biopic of the Beatles if they were all portrayed as CGI monkey men?
Yes, they would.
yes,
It's just something about the Beatles which irritates me is that nothing that anyone will ever do about the Beatles will not make money. Like, people still really love them. I can appreciate them for what they did, but it's not really my kind of thing.
What animal would Yoko be? A snake? Tapeworm?
Tapeworm would be good.
Some kind of parasite.
Oh, it's got to be something sort of old and haggard and screechy.
Yeah, witch-like, I would say.
Yeah.
We'll think about it.
I can't pronounce this one. Istari Azul for $1.99. I think Cynthia would be perfect as a hag raven.
What's a hag
I
raven?
know what
That's a
what
good
is a hag
cue.
raven. I've heard of those. Everyone type on the
That's
keyboard to read out.
Yeah, I see it.
It's from Skyrim.
Oh yeah,
the
she
witches,
fits the
yeah.
bill.
Oh god. Okay. He's right. She would.
Let's see. Bonesaw is ready for $5. Also send it in $5 real dollars instead of these fake euro monies. When I first heard of this movie and that the main character was a hairy chimp, I thought it was a movie about Robin Williams. Yes.
Well, Robin
some
Williams
shade.
was a very hairy fella, so
He was.
I can see the confusion.
And
Thank
Paramount
you, sir.
made the same mistake.
If it turns out they thought it was Robin Williams, that would be very funny.
That'd be great. A Jonas member for 6 months. Hello from LA. Please send help or water at least. Damn. Well, we can try and send you some entertainment over.
Well,
No.
we can
over
send
a
you
period of
thoughts
time.
and prayers.
Not helping you.
Look at
You
alcohol.
don't deserve it. Unless you kill everyone in Hollywood, no. I demand a blood price.
Does anyone know if the fires have reached the Hollywood sign for real?
I don't think so. There were a load of images, but I think they were all like AI generated. I don't think it's quite got there yet. And let's be honest, if they're going to pull out all the stops to save one thing there, it will probably be something facile and pointless like the Hollywood sign.
I agree.
Tempting though it would be to see it burn. I would rather them save the actual normal people's homes than the signage.
Well, just think how much evidence is being burnt right now in people's homes. How much blackmail,
I've seen some
backroom casting
tweets about
couches.
that.
All those videos are just being incinerated. And if not, people are running to the fire with the evidence and throwing it in.
I've seen that on Twitter the past 2 days.
It's the truth. And I'm just saying.
You're wrong.
For real though, please be safe.
The dead bodies as well.
They've done literally nothing good at all in terms of containment. So like it's still going. It might even get worse. So
Makes you wonder why.
Adonis for $5 more. I'm as pissed with my government officials as I'm sure Platoon is with his.
I mean, the one thing our government officials have not so far done is find a way to set the entire country on fire. So I think you've got more reasons to be pissed at this moment than we do, though we have plenty of them. Yes, good governance shouldn't be a political thing, that you should be able to do it no matter which party you stand for. It's quite simple to do. You just have to look for people who are competent enough to do the job. And unfortunately, yeah, LA does not have a surplus of those people at the moment and are feeling the consequences.
Well, Platoon, didn't ours just turn down a giant pedo investigation?
They're trying to. I mean, it'll probably happen eventually, but then it'll take 20 years to report, and the findings will basically be what everyone's already found out about in the press. So
we're not exactly doing great here.
No, it's not great. It's just not as dramatic. Everything we do is a more boring version of the incompetence that you see in America.
But just as horrific.
Yes.
Just as evil.
We're better at hiding it.
More horrific.
Toivo Corhonen for 50 fake monies, but we'll accept this because it's a massive donation. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. First casting couch of 2025. You have these 3 actors and these 3 roles. You do the casting. We always love these. We get them every week. He never fails with he's setting us up for success here. Actors are Eddie Murphy, Pedro Pascal, and Aubrey Plaza. And the roles are the Joker, main character in Ocean's 14, and voice actor for your Sonic OC in the next Sonic movie.
I do not have a Sonic OC, so Cynic, you do. Your hair's blue. It was blue.
Yeah, it was once upon. It still is in the avatar because I can't ever change it now. Eddie Murphy for the Sonic. Let's see. Aubrey Plaza for the Joker, and Pedro Pascal is just another random Ocean's 14 character.
No, he's the main character. He's leading the heist. He's getting the boys together.
Boys are back in town.
He comes across a laser grid in Resident Evil and just dices them.
I'm going to cheat and say Eddie Murphy for all 3. Because that's the obvious best choice here.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm definitely sticking with Eddie Murphy for the Sonic character at minimum.
What if Eddie Murphy played all 14 characters in Ocean's 14?
Oh shit!
I'd watch
he could do it. How many characters did he play in The Nutty Professor?
Maybe not like 14, but he's got enough. He can do it. He's got practice. He's got the experience.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that super chat, Toivo. Really appreciate you. TGV Monster for $2. Hi everyone. Good seeing you, and good seeing you, sir. Pie Guy for $5 fake dollars. Thoughts on Nolan doing the Odyssey? I asked Cap already on his fantastic stream last night. Also, I hope the poster for the next one is Gladiator.
Oh my god, that would be awesome.
Don't give them ideas. They'll do it.
You probably will. I can see them doing that. The Nolan Odyssey thing, though, I would love that to be amazing. I would like it. I'd like if Nolan were to sort of expand his range a little bit and allow some of the more fantastical elements to come in, rather than making everything about it sort of grounded, gritty realism. Because I think if you do that, you sort of miss the magic of the Odyssey. But I'm very intrigued by it. I'd love to see it be good.
Yeah, supposedly the budget too is over like $250 million.
So
it's worth mentioning that Christopher Nolan is actually pretty good at being economical in terms of budgeting. Like Oppenheimer being like 3 hours long, and with all the actors it had in it, and being a period piece and doing all the explosions for real and all that stuff, was only $100 million.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
he's
so-
actually
yeah.
he's really good at getting people to work for cheap because they actually want to be in his movies. I know it's
That's
kind of a
for-
shocking,
for-
revolutionary idea
Yeah.
in Hollywood these days, but if he has a budget that big, that's a good sign because he's actually pretty good at keeping spending the money where it counts. But I share Platoon's opinion that I don't know if his very hyper realistic visual style is best suited for the Odyssey, but who knows? We'll see.
Will we be able to hear anyone even talk?
No, fuck no.
I mean, Interstellar costs 165, which is pretty high, but still.
I mean, for what it
Odyssey's-
was, I mean, that's quite the spectacle movie, you know?
Yeah.
definitely.
It looks great. There's that.
Yeah. Toivo for another $50. Thank you so much. Started listening to EFAP last week. It's so weird to hear people talking about new and upcoming things like Fortnite, Endgame, TikTok, and Rise of Skywalker. Clueless about the upcoming horrors like 2020, Dial of Destiny, Acolyte, and the MCU. An indictment.
It was an innocent time, though I think EFAP were ahead of the curve on Rise of Skywalker. And once you've seen Rise of Skywalker, you understand basically all of the faults in everything that's come since it. Because it's either going to be a TLJ-inspired rot or a Rise of Skywalker-inspired rot. And we've had a steady mix of both. It is, yeah. To understand everything, watch JJ's last movie.
It's funny how badly that's damaged his career because he hasn't really made anything since. And he got $500 million to make stuff, and he hasn't.
Honestly, good for him. Just stop. Just hang out.
You
with
destroyed Star Wars. Here's $500 million. Go away.
Well, maybe some clever person at a studio said, "Look, we will give you $500 million if you just stop." And so that's what the payment was for.
You can't stop him. He's like cancer. He goes into remission, but he'll come back way more aggressive.
Toivo, thank you for the couple donations there. Really appreciate you, man. Jeremy Soden for $2. Hi, Capital O. Enjoying your Gone Girl stream.
Oh yeah, thanks for watching. That's a good one. Talked about that movie. It's long. Have you guys seen that? Have you all seen that movie?
Oh yeah.
The correct answer.
It's been a long time. I saw it when it first came out. It's been since then.
It's great.
I don't think I have seen it actually.
I'm enjoying it.
Wow.
Oh, you got to see it. It's good. Very well crafted film.
Thrill House for $2. Lisan Al Gaib, The Way She Ride My Worm.
Well, there you have it. Life finds a way.
TGB Monster for $5 more. Thank you, sir. But the real question: what do you think Captain America 4 is going to make? Must $400 million at this point? Superman is supposed to be over $300 million. Yikes! Are you talking about budgets? Like $300 million for a Superman budget? I thought that James Gunn was being economical about the whole thing, but maybe not.
Well, that tax thing came out, didn't it? And he said, "Oh no, they're lying. Like Sony's just committing fraud."
Yeah, no, they're lying to pocket the money. That's what they're doing.
Maybe they were just some random numbers that we sent them in a legally binding form that absolutely won't come back to hit us if it turns out they weren't truthful. I think the question might be asking how much the movie has to make, maybe to break even after its budget.
So Cap 4, if it's true, it's upwards of $500 million at the cost with marketing, everything that's going to be involved. That's surely 9 figures. You're talking about $1.2 to $1.3 billion to break even, most likely. To break even.
Not do that.
No. Because most of the money at the theater, they have to split it with the theater, obviously, and then outside of North America, the theater takes way more fucking money than like it's why, like, for a while they were releasing movies in China at a super fast rate, but it was really just to inflate the numbers because China would take like 80% of the ticket price. So it has to make a shit ton of money, and it's probably not. Superman, it probably didn't have a $300 million budget, so it'd have to make a lot less than Captain America 4.
I think I'm actually in the position where if it made even 700 million, I think that would be a surprisingly good result.
They'd probably be
Nowhere
happy
near
with
good
that.
enough, but yeah, considering all the things that have gone wrong and the current climate with superhero movies, 700 would be a reasonable result.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say I think 400 million just because I think Red Hulk will get enough people to be curious about it. But like, yeah, like 700 million Platoon, that's people going back to see it more than once. I just don't see enough people caring about this brand. I mean,
you think Red Hulk will be enough to pull people in?
I mean, because they're throwing him. I mean, they're obviously the marketing is desperate, and they're just tossing him everywhere. And Red Hulk is at least enough of a fan base to get it to 400 million. I don't think it's going to do more than that, but. Yeah.
I'm skeptical of that, but I'm also not a comic book person, and I'm like, who the fuck is Red Hulk? So
yeah,
right. Well, he's just a Red Hulk, so as long as you have a lookalike Hulk, they hope that's good enough to get people to theaters. I think
that's what I'm saying. That's why I think it'll at least do 400, but anything more, there's no way. I can't see this movie doing $500 million.
I see what you mean. Yeah,
fuck no way is it gonna hit.
They should have at least what's that speech on the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Do better,
Senator. That one,
yeah. I hope there's a better one.
Oh god, that scene is like a crime against humanity. It's so bad. I hate it. It's awful.
So awful.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know anything about how to run giant like governments, but maybe that's okay. Maybe it's good that I don't know, so I can be more ideologically pure. It's garbage. Awful.
Platoon, this happened for you.
Oh, Brad Leafus has given 10 memberships. Thank you very much, sir, and welcome to those new members.
Way to go, Brett.
Richard Shaft for $11. The original Nosferatu is very often the top in the acting, but that is a silent movie, so they need it to get the point across. I think over the top. Yeah, here they keep that aspect, but with the dialogue, it just becomes silly. And maybe that's why my theater was laughing. Maybe that's what I was missing the whole time, and I was in the wrong. I wasn't engaging with this movie properly. I should have been laughing.
I think part of it is if people aren't hooked by the characters and the story itself, then they're gonna laugh at the over the top camp stuff. But if they were hooked, they'd because like some of my favorite movies have kind of over the top performances, like The Shining. But it's like it kind of works because it's funny at the same time, but also it doesn't stop being scary. You know what I mean? But something like this, if you're not invested in the story and you see Lily Rose Depp like tweaking like she's on crack, you might laugh a little.
And what do we know about crackheads? That they're go-getters.
And it all cycles back. It's like poetry, it rhymes.
It's like a circle. Bonesaw is ready for $10. Now you have me thinking of the Blumhouse Invisible Man, aka future multi-billionaire inventor, gets back at ugly ex-girlfriend rather than plow through miles of hose with his newfound wealth. Yeah, we were talking about that too.
Who is that actress? Because all she ever plays is a battered woman.
Elizabeth Moss.
How does she prepare? Does she like not sleep? Does she get people to hit her? Like, how do you prepare and always look like a beaten woman?
Never wear makeup neither.
Like, does she run into like the door? Like, I just don't understand how you keep playing a woman who looks like someone's been like she's been like 3 rounds with Mike Tyson.
He's not wrong.
Tai Fung, member for 22 months. Just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy new year. Need to get back and listen. Really appreciate the stream. Well, we really appreciate you, sir.
Yes.
Shake from Hunger Team for $10. Hey, good job with the growth of your podcast. You deserve it. Just want to show love. Thanks, guys. Now back to lurking. Oh, thanks for popping in. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Graph Web for $2. I think we see this every week. Hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Right on. I do a good job of sailing the high seas for things I need.
Yeah.
Jay Fraser 360 for $5 fake dollars. No problem though. Hail BSUP. 20 years ago, fans wanted Peter Jackson to direct the live-action Legend of Zelda film. Today, fans don't even want any adaptations at all.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how people say, "Can you stop raping my childhood?"
Yeah.
It's a weird, it's strange, though, isn't it? People just don't like their memories being defiled.
Yeah. Well, I think people do want adaptations, but it's just the climate we're under, because all three Sonic films, they've proven that you can please the fans, but that's the one exception out of, like, there's one Sonic franchise versus how many failed franchises.
Yeah, exactly. It's the trend line that makes people incredibly skeptical of any future adaptation, even if it would, in like the happy alternate universe where all the films are made by the best, most talented people. It would be great to see an adaptation of all of these things. I'd love a brilliant Zelda adaptation, but the odds of it happening were bad even before we learned who was writing it, and now they're even lower. But even Peter Jackson, I mean, it would have been great. Yeah, okay, let's say height of his talent with the same care and dedication as he put into The Lord of the Rings. That Peter Jackson, great. The one who did The Hobbit, probably not. The one who then passed on Mortal Engines and gave it to his assistant because he couldn't be fucked, definitely not that one. Yeah.
Yeah, remember not too long ago, like we had 3 good Lord of the Rings films, and hey, what if one day we make an animated War of the Rohirrim prequel movie that's going to do great at the box office, right? Like,
Steel Manning for $1.99. Emilia Perez is an example of why LA is burning.
Well, the Mexicans got so annoyed they came up and set fire to Hollywood.
Sons of bitches.
You know what? I get it.
We understand. And it's okay because, everyone's been pretty upset with LA for a while now. Aurora uplinks for $2. That shitpost French movie is like a funny Mad TV skit.
It does feel like a parody. Yes, it isn't.
Yeah.
It makes it more funny in my opinion, but it does feel like it's trying to be ironic. It's not.
Yeah, when I first saw that clip, I swear to God, I was oh, this has to be satire.
From penis to vagina.
Penis to vagina.
He goes sharp at the end too. Oh, it's so funny. It's so good.
Bonesaw is ready. Member for 1 month. Cynthia Erivo is more suited for Toad than Storm.
Yeah, the sort of bald, emaciated look. Yeah, definitely. not necessarily what people picture with Storm. That's the weird thing about Cynthia Erivo, is that she actually is a pretty good singer, but she just seems like a crazy person.
Seems. She is.
I mean,
without
from what little I've seen.
Bonesaw is ready for $5. My casting for Storm is either Alexis Tay, Keira Noir, or Sarah Banks. Those ladies are all great on camera.
I don't know who any of them are, but they sound like porn stars.
They must be porn stars.
Yeah, they are. Okay, there it is.
All right. Telling on yourself. Thomas Reynolds for $1. Just send in $1. Hey, awesome. Right on.
Way to go,
fucking
Thomas.
Right on. Hell yeah. Tay for $5. Hey, panel, I truly believe the DC universe has the potential to exceed what the MCU has accomplished. So much potential waiting to be realized.
Does it, though?
I don't think so, but, time
in
will
a perfect world, sure.
Yeah.
But
isn't one of James Gunn's shows the women on Themyscira killing all the men?
It could be.
Take your word for it.
I mean, yeah, that's you actually see the promo, and it has women, the fucking Amazonians stabbing men.
Well, that sounds fitting for the modern day. But besides Batman and Superman, though, what is the big? I mean, I'm not familiar with comics
Wonder
generally,
Woman,
but I feel like I know more Marvel characters just by osmosis than I know DC characters.
Green Lantern.
Well, see, I think it's also the problem too with just modern media, because we could say that for comic book fans, the DC does have more worldwide, broader appeal for Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, et cetera, but because incompetent idiots have been running DC. The fact that Iron Man now is more popular than some iterations of Batman, or Guardians of the Galaxy for some people are more popular than they say Green Lantern. Green Lantern should be everywhere. Like the Flash, the fact a Flash film bombed at the box office is a problem with how bad DC is being run right now. DC globally has a lot more popular characters than Marvel, but the MCU in its heyday 10 years ago was popular globally. That's the issue.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I
it
think
is
like
interesting.
Superman and Batman are still going to be the most like enduring superhero characters globally, but you
for
know,
sure.
that doesn't mean that DC movies will do well necessarily. It just means kids will be dressing up as Batman regardless.
Well, that was the whole point of
Yeah.
Guardians. But see, you know, James Gunn back in the day, he took like unknown characters and made them now top tier characters. DC has 10 times, especially from villains. They have 10 times the characters that Marvel has, and they're not utilizing them because Batman, Superman. This is yet another Superman fucking reboot in our lifetimes. Like, my God, guys, you've got 10,000 other characters you could be building up, like how they did with Guardians.
Thomas Reynolds for $2. I thought he said Cynthia as Hagrid. Let's see. Max of Zorro for $2. Did Dark Hour get more attractive, or is it just me?
Cynic.
Mega Spidey Man for $5. Well, let's see. I read this already, so $5 fake dollars. Thanks, Mega. Hello there. Happy New Year, everyone. What's the story with the fake dollar stuff, Mr. Cynic? To all fave Obi-Wan movie moments and why? Fake dollar stuff, because if it's not American, it's not real. And that's that.
Americans are just really salty that other places have currencies with higher value than theirs. Except, well, to be fair, that does not apply to the euro, which is the one that's currently on the screen, but it does apply to the pound.
For now.
For now.
And favorite Obi-Wan moments? Anybody? When he dies. I love that.
Jesus.
I like when he does that weird yell to scare off the Tusken Raiders. That's pretty good. Like that weird, like
the completely unthreatening way that he stumbles onto the scene, but it still kind of works because he's supposed to be like a mad hermit and not this incredibly awesome warrior guy. So it gives you this false expectation, which I think works really well. He's great for memes in the prequels. All of the prequels are great for memes. Hello there.
I mean, unironically though, I do like the whole like Jedi mind trick thing with the stormtroopers. That's a fun moment for him.
That is good.
I mean, realistically, I think the best, everyone could agree, best ever Obi-Wan moment is when he took a child and hid her in a trench coat. You know,
God,
away.
no.
Come on, that's
not a fucking abomination as Obi-Wan moments.
Don't bring this up.
Or his Return of the Jedi bit, though, where he's like, well, why didn't you tell me that this evil, genociding mass maniac is actually my dad? So, well, I did from a certain point of view.
Kind of, yeah.
You don't understand, Luke. I want you to kill him, so that's why I didn't tell you.
I lied and manipulated you your whole life. Trust me, Luke.
It's extra funny with the prequels, making the initial conversation where he tells him about the Force and his dad, like everything he says there is a lie now.
Yeah,
So,
he was a great warrior and a good friend. And then you go and watch them, and it's just constant bickering, screaming matches, shouting, and fights.
They
Thanks,
cut
George.
his legs off and set him on fire. He was a great friend.
And then stole his lightsaber for good measure.
Yeah.
Killed him in the worst way possible.
I like Obi-Wan in A New Hope when he's like slinking around to go like turn off the grab like the tractor beam or whatever. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it when he was sitting in his Ford Explorer calling everyone racist. That was my favorite one.
Do better.
That wraps it up for the show, everybody. I do want to thank the panel for coming on, and we do normally plug everyone's shit at this time, so I figured we will go clockwise. Blue Collar Loser, good
Hey,
sir, what do you have coming up?
I'm not sure. Basically,
Fair enough.
I'm just everywhere. Actually, no. The first film I saw this year, I'm making a video, is of The Damned. No one really talked about it. A small horror film. Has the Hound from Game of Thrones. It's a decent January horror film. Nothing great, but it's a good one-time watch. I would be curious to hear everyone's thoughts on it. It's a small fishing village, and there's some evil. It's okay, man. But I'll make a video on it.
Yeah, so it was a January horror film, like because
Exactly.
January is a big month for horror movies. Usually, it's like a dumping ground for them.
Yeah, it's one of the films where just sit at home. I wouldn't spend money on it. It's on streaming one day. Check it out. But I think it's got a lot of interesting concepts. The atmosphere is very like I'm in a theater. It's very cold and dark. Like you can feel the atmosphere. So first time director, and no one's talking about. I think this director's got potential if this is their first film.
Isn't the Hound recasted for Ahsoka? He's playing Ray Stevenson's character.
Yep.
I hope he's the same. I hope he swears and goes, "You fucking cunt."
Yes, that would be good. Be very useful for videos if he does that. I think it's just a rumor at this stage, but it does seem to be quite a strong rumor, so hopefully it happens.
And Reaper, what are you up to next, sir?
I still haven't done my Doctor Who one. It's basically finished. I just can't get the energy to publish it. Let's go. Oh God, I don't want to. And then 2 days, I think, or 3 days, Castlevania Nocturne Season 2 comes out, which was horrendous on every level. Like, there's a French guy, and he's going, the revolutionaries are trying to kill Christians, so I'll go to vampires who my religion set on fire and ask them for protection. The vampires then go, okay, we'll protect you, but only if you give us an army of undead warriors, which only living humans can make. And I was like, well, he can make a fucking army. Why does he need you? That never got answered. It was just, that's it. That's the premise. I'm just supposed to accept it. I fucking hate that. And then season 2 is coming out, so that shit. So I'm doing that as well.
Damn. And you're pushing towards like 100K here pretty soon. So
I'm posting it in 17 days. For some reason, I got 1,000 subscribers. Why?
There
Why
you
are people subbing to me? I treat you like scum. I don't post often. I post racist, sexist, everything-ist. I'm incoherent. I've got a terrible voice, and people keep subscribing to me, and I don't know why.
It's this mass appeal.
I can only sub once, not 5 times. Come on.
Yeah. You're gonna make me subscribe and unsubscribe 10 times because it's so fucking good.
Making bot accounts.
And Capital O Opinions, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. And
yeah, no problem.
Where can we find you next?
Dark Hour invited me, and then he's not even here. What's up with that? Anyway,
yeah.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You can, I have a weekly stream on Sundays where we talk about movies and such. I think Little Platoon has been on at least one of them. I'm trying to get him back for more in the future. We just did one on James and the Giant Peach and Coraline, and so we talk about old movies, new movies, all that sort of fun stuff every Sunday. And then I'm working on a video about Nosferatu, trying to explain to the people why I don't like Nosferatu, and hopefully I'll convince a few people that it's not actually very well written. We'll see how that goes, but I'm working on that now, and so you can expect that in the near future.
Oh yeah.
How was the short film, by the way? Because that was the competition, right? I watched that.
Yeah,
and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, well, thank you for saying so. I appreciate that. So yeah, there's a sort of competition where you had to make a short film of at least 7 minutes long in 2 weeks. So like you don't get the prompt for what genre and what theme you have, and then like until the day of, and then you have it's actually only 13 days after that to make and complete a whole short film. So it was a fucking crazy 2 weeks. But we did it, and there's a short film on the channel that is a sort of Invasion of the Body Snatchers type horror thriller comedy thing on the channel. It's called Hostile Takeover. You can check that out if you want. It was a lot of fun to work on, and Little Platoon said he liked it, so that means it's good objectively. Go check it out.
Absolutely does. My taste is unquestionable. I really enjoyed that. That was really good fun. I liked it.
Oh, thanks, man.
2 weeks as well. That's impressive.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I slept way less than I usually do, to put it mildly, but it's done. We made it happen, so that's cool.
Was it like Frodo, where you throw the ring in a fire, you come out and go, "It's done, it's finished."
And I'm so traumatized by the whole thing that I just can't live anymore, and I need to go die. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and thanks all three of you for coming on. Yeah. And I just started a channel about pro wrestling, and I'll put it in the chat if anyone is interested. If you even have a mild interest in pro wrestling, I think the first video I dropped will interest you, honestly. If you're like mildly interested to a full-on like mark about it, you'll probably enjoy this video. I put a lot of hard work into it, and it's going to start being a weekly show. And yes, Jay Goodwin, wrestling, good old wrestling. I'll put it in the chat right now. And as far as the Movie Cynic channel goes, there will be a new drop on Monday before BSUP next week, and it's going to be about celebrities who cannot help themselves and just self-destruct, and it should be a fun one. So
that's going to be a really long video because there are just so many of them, right?
I picked a top 4. You know.
Oh God, how long did that take to narrow down?
Quite a while, but it'll be about a 20 to 25 minute video. So never touching one of the links of your ridiculous videos. But, yeah. And what about you, Platoon? What are you up to next?
Speaking of, ridiculously long things. I am. It's still a toss up between Dune and Arcane season 2, but Arcane season 2 is more annoying to me, so I have more passion for that at the moment. So that script and part of that video is well on the way. I think I'm at the end of episode. No, I'm not. I'm halfway through episode 2. It is an hour and a half long already. So we'll see how that ends up. I'm trying not to make it like a 9-hour video, but it might end up that way. And after that, it will probably be Dune. I don't know when either of these things will actually get published. Probably not for another couple of weeks. But fuck it. There's nothing else going on.
Oh, fuck it. Well, that wraps it up for the stream, everyone. Another great week of BSUP. We really appreciate everyone who stuck around in the chat, everyone who sent in super chats. You all are absolutely fucking amazing. We love you guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.